Have it. We are going live, baby. We decided to start a little early. You know why? Because I got my coffee. I got to sipping, and I said it's a good day to do it. So let's get this thing started. All right, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching me from. Here in the beautiful state of Michigan, it is morning. It is a beautiful morning as well. Went for a nice long walk with the wifey this morning. Went for a nice mile walk this morning. All right, guys. Good morning. Pumped to be here, guys. Pumped that you are here. Now, do keep in mind, if you're watching this at a later time, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We are doing these lives very often. And the biggest thing that you need to know is Powell testifies today. He is testifying today. He's going to be chatting at, let's see, the Federal State Financial Inclusion, Past, Present, and Hopes for the Future. And then the testimony from Powell comes out. It's a semi-annual monetary policy report before the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. So he'll be going over everything there with you. And we will be here streaming it live for you, of course. So you came to the right place. You came to the right place, baby. And I am pumped. I am pumped to be here. We have a lot going on. When he does testify, that'll be at 10 o'clock. So you'll be with me for a little while. We got this counter right here for the Powell speech when it is supposed to start. In the meantime, we have a lot going on in the market. And, well, let's just bring this up really quick. The S&P 500 just hit new all-time highs at 555.09. That's beautiful to see. We know that if we are ripping right here in the pre-market, that's a very, very good sign. But if you guys are just joining me, let me know what you're watching. We went over the watch list. I actually just posted in our Discord. I'll just bring this up for you guys. The daily watch list in our Discord. You can see we're watching NNE, Carvana, USM, MDGL, Kava, MIRM, Dell, and WGS. We bring that for you every day in the Discord. Every single day in the Discord, we bring that up for you. So that way you guys have at least something to keep an eye on. And of course, we look at the strongest, relative strong compared to the market. So we have already took a little action on NNE. We just only took about half share size in NNE. We're going to see what comes about of this. It's a little preemptive trade or a pre-market trade, if you will. We're going to see how this wants to play out. I really like this. If you look at the hourly here, I think it looks way better in the hourly. And we zoom out, you can see this trend, this big flag that formed. And we played this before. We played this flag down here. It's a nice flag pattern. I do like it. It looks very, very good. We're going to see what comes of it. So, all right. We're going to get this posted. We're going to make sure everybody's in here that needs to be, or that wants to be, as I should say. Let's go ahead. We'll just do this. Pin that. We're gonna shoot this out to a little bit of everybody, so that way everybody's got a chance. Everybody's got a chance. All right, let's go, baby. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, today's gonna be a good day. We got a busy day today and tomorrow because Powell is also speaking tomorrow. I believe that's also at 10 o'clock. We'll go over that very soon. But yeah, that watch list this morning, it was easy to make because last night's chat that we had on the watch list, that was fun. I mean, I really enjoyed that. Last night was probably our best get together that we had. I mean, it was pumped. It's nice when you actually have like a ton of things to actually keep an eye on. That's the beautiful part about it. When you got a ton of things that you can actually watch and keep an eye on, there's tons to talk about. It makes things just a little easier. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. We got all that taken care of. All right, we're good to go. Good to go. All right, let's slide through the watch list really quick and see how everything's looking. So Carvana is right at that area. right at that breakout area. We're going to see if this thing wants to get above that 128. That would be beautiful. USM hasn't traded or done much at all so far this morning. MDGL, the pharmaceutical company, I still think this has a couple more days. I think this is going to play out where it's going to bounce off this trend a few more times, and it's going to hold on to this 21-day moving average for a while. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at Kava. So I'm in Kava. I want to see this thing get to ripping today. It's had 3 inside days. That's what's nice about it. It's a faster mover at 4.5%. I'd love to see Kava get some legs here. Legs and eggs, baby. But yeah, when I woke up this morning, I seen this on NNE, and in the pre-market in my trader view, it showed that we already got to ripping at 29.84. 29.84. So that's a good sign. You know, I rather it not break out in pre-market, because then it gets my trading a little wonky here, you know, because I don't want it to take off without me. So I'll get in a small share size like I have, half share size. And then, so that way if it does take off, I'm at least in half of my share size. But if it pulls back, I have room to add. But then of course I'm adding to a pullback. So I'm already adding to something I'm losing money in. Now, of course, we don't want to add to losers, but if it's preemptive and we have an understanding and a plan behind it, it's not adding into a loser. It's called position sizing. And that's one thing that I do like to do in order to catch a move like this, especially because NNE is on my top watch list. And you can see Carvana here. I like this base. I like this base breakout right here. That's what I'm kind of watching. If it can do it on volume, I think this would be a great stock, because we got this downward trend. You can see that here. If we eliminate the wicks, which I like to do sometimes, it looks more like this. And then you have this ascending trend line right off this here. So it looks like it's getting really tight. It looks like it's breaking out. And then we have this base top where we can use that bottom as risk. So we'll see what happens there. Keep up on what's going on. And guys, if I'm not looking at what you are watching, you can post it. You can post it in the comment section. Be more than happy to go over that with you, and we'll see what's going on. We got a lot though. We got a lot going on. Like I said, NNE, Carvana, USM, MDGL. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on the S&P 500. And a big thing, look at this, S&P 500. Holy crap. So this is the 1 hour. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 green candles in a row for the S&P 500. It just keeps on going. We're actually sitting at 555.12 right now for the S&P 500. That's a beautiful sign, guys. That is a beautiful thing to wake up to. Let's take a look at the daily chart here, and you can see on the daily, it's just wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. Now we are here because Powell's speech starts in 1 hour and 23 minutes. But of course, as you guys know, I will be doing live trading at the market open. We are in a little bit of NNE. We're only holding half share size right now. We're down about $40 in that trade. In the other trades that I'm currently in, we have AMSC. We're up about $102 total in that trade, up about $42 on the day. In NVIDIA, we're up about $322, about $97 for the day. So we'll see what happens with those trades. Today starts my diet. Ugh, I know, right? No more energy drinks, back to coffee. Eating right, chicken, rice, chicken and eggs. It's gonna be good. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit, healthy soul, healthy trading. You know what I mean? So that's the whole key behind this. Usually everything is backed behind that trading. I love to be disciplined. I am a very disciplined person, and if you are disciplined in your waking life, you'll be disciplined in your trading. So always keep that in mind. That's why I'm always trying to achieve a better me 1% every single day, and that always doesn't happen, but but it's definitely something that we want to keep in mind. All right, so with the S&P 500 heading higher, my main question is, what about the IWM? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. If you were with me here yesterday, I know Dan, Bob, and B. Stewie were. I don't know who else is in this trading room. Give me a hi, give me a hello. What's going on, guys? I want to know who's in here so I can talk to you. Jolene, you in here, girl? Zamara, where you at, girl? Where's my ladies at? We usually get all the ladies in here. B. Stewie, what's going on? B. Stewie's in here, sending some love your way. B. Stewie, I don't know if you remember, I did bring up a... Oh, where is it? I'm going to have to look back on our general chat. I called you out on a ticker, and it was in the aerospace. And it's not my forte. It's a slower mover, but I got to find it now, dude. I called you out, and I know you were camping, but there was a ticker that looked absolutely amazing. B. Stewie, GE, that's right. So GE, we're going to come back to IWM because you guys need to pay attention to this IWM because, sorry if you hear my baby. My baby's not a morning person. But GE here, look at this, B. Stewie. Look at this base breakout, or this base that's happening at 165.58. That's a nice look to that right there. It is. It's a very nice look right here. So this is a slower mover for me. It only moves 2.7%, but I know you like those aerospaces. And it's just basing out here. And look at this. Look at this trend line. It'll look a lot better on TraderView. Yeah, RDW. Yeah, that one too. But GE is the one that you were watching. And look at this. Looks better on TraderView, I think. Look at that. Here's the base. Here's a trend line. If it breaks out of this area, 164 area, woo, watch out. This thing could get to moving. But yeah, the RDW, that's on my watch list. And I really like that. I like the basing with a trend, holding a 10-day moving average, and it moves 8.4%. So that's in the aerospace as well as, what else? Aerospace and... I don't know, that's kind of weird because they're in the outer space technologies too, so it's not just aerospace, but it's looking good. I got my alerts set up here so that way when we get the alerts coming off, I'll be able to let you guys know when we get the alerts, of course. We're watching quite a few. We're watching quite a few, guys. We need to get this up. Boom. All right, we're good to go. Live now, baby. Live now. Yeah, RDW is a good one. I really like the look of this. I really think RDW can really cause some mayhem in this space, especially because look at it makes this cup and then it follows the 10 and 21 day moving average just so clean. It's so clean. And now it's getting tight on a base and a trend. That's a double whammy, if you ask me, a double whammy. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am a morning person. I am a morning person. That's the thing. A lot of people aren't morning people. I'm a morning person, even before my coffee. Now, after I had my coffee, wake up and watch out. I remember the guys at work used to hate it. They'd be like, dude, they're all groggy and slow. And I'm like, come out, wake up. It's time to go. And I think that's what's great about being a morning person and trading the market is I like to get up early. I like to watch the market open. I like to be here in front of the market, watching the market open. So everything's nice and easy going. So, yeah. Well, the 9 of you that are already in here, and we just started, guys. We already got 9 in here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Do me a favor, hit that like and hit that like button. I'm sure you're already subscribed, but hit that like button. Let's get started on that. Let's get going, and we can have an awesome day. Hopefully, the market, the old S&P 500, will put a little... You gotta give him that Hawk 2 and spit on that thing. Let's get some Hawk 2 on Kava. Let's get some Hawk 2 on NNE, baby. We already got NNE up to $30.21. cents. So some Hawk Tua on that, baby. Let's get it to rip tater chipping as well. It's definitely what we want to see in this overall market. We already have 50 shares in NNE. It's only half share size. We're going to see if NNE deserves more of my attention. And of course, when Powell comes out in less than an hour and a half, we have an hour and 17 minutes till old Papa Powell comes out. And when he does, I'm going to allow him, because I am such a kind gentleman, to take over this channel. And we're going to listen to every word he has to say. The question is he going to be more bullish or bearish? Or is he going to be hawkish or dovish? That's the real question. Hawkish or dovish? And if you guys aren't aware what hawkish or dovish is, hawkish means he is going to play like he is Papa Powell, and he is very stern and very to the point. Or dovish, he's going to make it, oh, rainbows and butterflies and things are great. That's really in general what it is. But in all honesty, I hope he comes out and he puts a little...
Gotta give him that Hawk Tua and spit on that thing. You get me?
I can't help it. I love that one. The S&P 500 new all-time highs at 555.14, guys. That is a beautiful sign. And what did I talk about last night? The IWM. We talked about this last night, and I said I am expecting to see some movement in the IWM. Why? Well, because we've been trading sideways for an awfully long time, and this thing on the daily is starting to get nice and tight. We can see getting some tighter action, breaking up, staying within this range. So instead of it being so wide, it's starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter, and we're getting into this channel now. So I believe at any time this week, and I hope it's today, that would be great. That would be great if it was today, especially just because on Sunday, we were literally just talking about how the IWM has a chance to really get to ripping, right? So we're going to see. Maybe the IWM does do it today. Right now, it's showing that the speculative small and mid-cap stocks are doing their thing today. So it's looking really good. Muley, I was just asking about you. I was hoping you were in here. Good morning, Muley. It's good to see you. I hope everything's going well. What are you watching, Muley? I know what you are watching. You're watching PLTR. And look at that gap up, Muley. Please tell me you're still holding. You're sticking to your process, I sure hope. Muley, tell me right now that you are still in PLTR. Look at this beautiful gap up. Now, last night we talked about how this is showing a beautiful cup, and I wanted to see a handle before I could enter into something like this. But look at PLTR. Gap up and reached a new all-time high, it looks like, guys. Look at that. A new all-time high at 28.35. This thing really pushed up overnight. Yes, good. Very good, Mulia. I love to see that you are still holding on to PLTR. That's a beautiful, beautiful trade there. It looks like NNE is starting to get a little bit of love. We're only down about $20, but like I said, this pre-market love right here, I wanted to see and get in somewhere around this breakout at this 28.50 area. I did post in our daily watch list, guys. I did post this in our daily watch list about NNE. It's above the 28.50 area. That's where I wanted to buy. The 28.50 level on volume would be best, but has gapped up already in pre-market. So we'll see about taking a quarter of the risk. All right, so I am in NNE. I am holding. I'm willing to add to this trade, whether it's a open market breakout or whether it is a pullback and a bounce off this retest area. But I do like NNE. Just remember, these are my trades, they're not yours. So make sure if you are going to take a trade, it is your trade using your process and using your risk management. But we always post that daily watch list. So if you guys aren't a part of our Discord, you're more than welcome to join it. I can post the link for you shortly. Let me just let me get my link tree up here. That way you guys can have it. Here you go. Here you go. We'll call that. And you know what, guys? And if you're willing to join, just keep in mind, we have a swing trading school in our YouTube. I expect everybody to go through that swing trading school before you start asking questions in there. It shows you in our swing trading school, it shows you clear cut, clear as day, the trend breakouts and the base breakouts that we play. Okay, so if you can adhere to those rules, you're more than welcome to join. It's in the link tree there. We have the Discord is in that link tree. All you're going to do is click on that link, and it should bring up the, I'll just show you. Take a look at my screen. You just go ahead and click on this link right here. Actually, it won't let me click on it. Does it let you guys click on it? Is that a clickable link for you guys? Let me bring this back up. Let me see here. I'll try it one more time. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. I'll remove the first one really quick. My bad, guys. I'm a boomer. This boomer don't even know how to post a link, y'all. Is it still not allowing me to post that? Huh. All right, I'll figure it out. Dan Bob's he's still munching on some food, man. I gotta give him a break. I'll get it figured out though for you guys. Hang on. Yeah, it should. I don't know why it's not, oh, there we go. Maybe that's why. I'll try it one more time. Here we go. This should be the link tree. HTTP. Let's see if that one works, huh? Yay, it works. It only took 3 tries. All right, so here's the live. If you guys take a look at the screen here, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And then, of course, I posted right here. If you click on that link, it'll bring up the trader link. You got our YouTube, our Discord, our Instagram, TikTok, and our Facebook and Twitter. You guys can click on any of those links. It's safe to do, and you can be with me here, right now. And of course, we have a poll. We already got 9 of you that have voted on the poll. Thank you guys so much for voting on the poll. The question is, will the S&P 500 head higher? That is the question of the day. Will the S&P 500 head higher? And you guys can already see, first thing this morning, we're already getting some rippage to the north side. 55.09 we are currently trading at. That's a beautiful sign. Beautiful sign for the overall market. And you love to see it. I mean, because if you have any type of long-term investment, whether it's a 401k, a Roth IRA, or anything like that, guys, you think we're expecting it to go higher. We want it to go higher, you know. NNE is trading at 29.89 currently. Let's go ahead and run through our watch list. It looks like Carvana is wanting to get to move in first thing this morning. It's at that 29.01 area. Carvana, I said the breakout is at 130, and we are really bearing in on that. So if Carvana wants to get to moving here, let's zoom in on the 5-minute. We're not seeing a lot of pre-market volume come into this thing, so we will want to wait for that market open. And market open is going to be crazy because we have from 9:30 at market open until Powell coming out at 10 o'clock. So I think it's going to be a very volatile day. It might not be the most volatile open, but from what I'm already seeing is we're already getting some crazy movement. NVIDIA is already starting to push. We're up about $108 on NVIDIA, or $333 on the whole trade. Let's see what else we got going on. AMSC, we're up about $63 or $123 on that trade. So we're already starting our morning off very nice and green. CLS isn't doing much, but man, I hope it does gap up to this 58.48. That'd be a good sign for my trading. So we'll see what happens with CLS. I don't care for CLS. I don't like the trade. I don't like the fact that I took it. If it wants to hold out and pay me, that's fine. But this is definitely one that I dove down deep into over the weekend. Don't really care for the overall trade. Now we can run through a ton of these trades. We can start all the way from the top here. We can work our way down. And if you guys are watching something that I'm not, or that I haven't brought up, you're more than welcome to bring it up, and we can talk about it. So we have ANF. I'm going to keep an eye on ANF for a while. I think it's got a lot more time to play out. ARM, I'm surprised that a lot of people haven't been talking more about ARM. ARM has just ripped up here, made new all-time highs. Well, NVIDIA was pulling back. So that's a really good sign for ARM. Now, earnings season is starting. Ooh, gonna drown out the yawns with the coffee. Holy crap, watch out, people. So ARM, yeah, new all-time highs as NVIDIA pulled back. So we're gonna see what happens with ARM, but it's good to see breadth. It's good to see that NVIDIA is not the only thing holding up SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF. So we're gonna see if it wants to continue higher. And I'm just gonna run through these. We got TPC. If I see anything on here that I don't like TPC, because that's a slower mover, I'm just gonna get rid of it. So we have FTEL. If you guys remember FTEL, I think Zamora actually pointed this out. And if you look at FTEL on the daily, let me just bring this up. Look at this base right here, a base breakout. and then a pullback. And look at this trend line here, guys. A beautiful trend line breakout, and it took off. And then it showed another trend line on a 21-day moving average. I'll just draw it out here for you. And now look at this. It breaks out above another trend line on the 10-day moving average. Multiple areas on FTEL. I have not made any money on this. What's up, Gerb Pass? Yeah, NNE, that's actually on the top watch list here. We're keeping a very close eye on it. We're actually in NNE currently. Let's take a look on the shorter time frame here. So NNE is currently trading at 29.81. We have an average price at 30.57 right now. We only are in half of our share size. I'd like to grab 100 shares of this, but I'm waiting for a pullback. I'm waiting to see if it wants to retest this breakout area. If it wants to hold this $30 area, I'm fine with that too. But we're gonna wait for market open to do anything with this. So yeah, NNE is definitely on the watch list. And if you look at NNE on the hourly, this is the main reason why I put this on our daily watch list. Right here on the daily watch list, right here, I put in our Discord, NNE above that 28.50 level on volume. The key word there, volume, would be best. It has gapped up already in pre-market, so I will see about taking quarter risk, guys, to the opening bell, and from there adding if we get volume. So that's the key. The key word there is volume, and you can see in the pre-market we're not getting a ton of volume. And how I measure that is I always use TraderView. If you guys want my link to TraderView, if you guys don't have this, it's a free link. You're more than welcome to use it. Of course, if you do end up paying for TraderView, which you're more than welcome to do that too, you get a little kickback, or I get a little kickback. So just click on that link. You can download TraderView. It's absolutely free. But this is TraderView, and I look at the volume right here. Here's 3.49 on its volume for previous day. And then the average volume that it usually trades is 2.91%. So if we just grab like an average, if it trades 3 million shares on average, we can see the pre-market, it's only traded 68,000. So it's nothing crazy in the pre-market volume. It's nothing to really like take aback, be taken aback by and say, oh, this is crazy good, want to get the lighting right. How's that lighting? A little bit warmer. But yeah, we're keeping an eye on NNE, and you're more than welcome to hang out with us. Gerpass, Candola. Did I say that right? Canola? Am I saying it right? I don't know. I like it though. We already got, wow, there's 100% of you. 100% say yes above 554.70. By the end of the day, SPY will end above Friday's close. There we go. Just here for the Powell speech. That's cool too. Powell's going to be out here in about an hour. It's going to start at 10 a.m., guys, is when Powell's going to, and you're going to hear it here first. I actually get that right from the Federal Reserve Board, so it's a little quicker than most anywhere else. You'll get to see it here. You'll get to see the price action here in the market. And yeah, we're definitely going to make sure that the testimony from Fed Chair Powell gets streamed right here to your sweet, sweet face. Yeah, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. The testimonial from Powell, it's very exciting. What is he testifying on is the real question. And he's going to be talking about, let me see here. Past, present, and hopes for the future. Semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress before the U.S. State Committee. And it is going to be on, where the hell was it? Oh, housing, banking, and urban affairs. So he'll be talking about the housing, which is very important. I think a lot of people will be looking at that, how the housing market's doing, what he sees in the numbers. And I think it's going to be very important to see what actually comes of those numbers. Then, of course, we have the banking, which is the main thing. We want to make sure our banks aren't breaking, especially with the rate stays at 5.5%. That can actually keep some very bad pressure on the banks. And if banks start to break, you're going to see they're going to have to do something with the monetary policy to see what is actually going to happen there. And then, of course, urban affairs. That's going to be, the unemployment, the non-farm payroll. It's going to be all that good stuff. Do we have anything else Let me see. Do we have anything else coming out for the economic calendar today? I think it's just Powell's testimonial. Yeah, that's all we got going on for the economic calendar today. Now tomorrow we have quite a bit going on though. We have the economic calendar says tomorrow crude oil inventories, 10-year note, and Fed Chair Powell is speaking again tomorrow. So I will be live again tomorrow. We'll start out nice and early, have some morning coffee with you fine folks that are out there. We're trying to get our watch hours in, guys, and appreciate everybody being here. This is exactly what we need. So what are you guys watching? I know we're all eyes are on NNE today. I'm telling you, all eyes. I got AMSC. I actually am currently in AMSC. We're up about $130 on that. Kava's finally seeing some movement here, which is beautiful. I got a very nice, I'm full risk in Kava. Full risk, so 1% of my account in Kava. That is roughly $300. I think I'm risking a little bit more than $300 on Kava. You can see right here, guys, I'm very transparent. Very transparent, guys. Why am I so transparent? Because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to show you my process, the way I trade, how I do things, because I know it's tough out there, guys. It's tough out there, especially if you're a new trader and you don't know what the hell's going on. And it's just like, what do you do? What's the process? What's your thoughts? What are you feeling? You know, and a lot of people trade on those emotions. Shed the emotions, find a process, stick to it, and if you don't know a process, learn one. My process might not be your process, but you can at least learn how a process becomes formed, how it gets refined, learn the new rules, nuances, and you can add and subtract to it. And you might just throw it away altogether and say, you know what, I'm a flippin' day trader, and that's that. Swervo's in the house. What up, big dog? B. Stewie says SISI. We can take a look at it. I've already taken a look at SISI. It is a mover, but there's no way I can trade this thing. It's not holding any moving averages currently, B. Stewie. Let me blow this up real quick. Less than 1 hour, guys, till Powell talks. Less than 1 hour now until Powell talks. So if we look at this thing, there was only one trade that we could have taken on this. Big move up on volume, a pullback, and then a bounce off this 10-day moving average, breaking this trend line. And it wasn't even the cleanest break. I like to see some tighter days before it breaks out, but we could have played this. I even put a green line there to show like this would have been the area to play. Now it breaks out higher, it trades sideways and it pulls back, but it's not holding any moving averages. You know, it's not really showing anything that has to do with my strategy. Now you could have looked at something like this and said, you know, hey, this is a trend line. What is going on out there? Wife's spraying off the pool for the little mister outside. I was wondering what the hell that sound was. But yeah, I like SISI. We are keeping this on our watch list because it is a mover. It moves 25% on its average daily range. So that's why we want to keep an eye on it. But my issue with it is I don't have a trade on this. There's not a base. The trend wasn't a clean trend breakout. It's not holding any moving averages, but it is definitely a mover. It's definitely one we want to keep an eye on. Bob Dan says, welcome. Please feel free to chat, ask questions, and post tickers. Yes, sir. Thank you, Dan Bob. The greatest moderator alive out there is also asking you to like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Dan Bob. We are growing so incredibly fast. We're at 984 subscribers, guys. We might be higher than that. I haven't refreshed in a while. Can you explain my entry on NNE? Yeah. So here's NNE, guys. Let me just go ahead and let me bring this up on the best trading platform alive. And I'm going to put this on the hourly. I like this. It's a lot cleaner on the hourly. Now, right now in pre-market, we're in at 30.25. Okay, we're in at, or I'm sorry, it's trading at 30.25. We're not in at 30.25. We're trading at 30.25. This on the hourly, you can see is a clean, very, very clean trend line heading to the downside, right? And then we also have an ascending trend line heading up here from the base. So what I have put in our daily watch list that I post almost every single day, we have a daily watch list in our Discord. I posted it right here, guys. NNE, above that 28.50 level on volume would be best. But it has gapped up already in pre-market, so I'll be taking quarter risk size to the opening bell, and from there adding if we get volume. So my trade that I'm currently in is because we have gapped up over this area. And then also, you can't see it in the trader view, but also if you look at this hourly, you can see that we broke through this hourly trend. It almost looks better on the 5 minute, okay? So when we broke through this trend here of this 5 minute, I decided to take a bid. This may be a little too early. I could be completely wrong here, okay? I don't expect anybody to follow me in this trade, especially in the pre-market, but that's why I risked quarter share size. I actually added into this. So my trade is actually sitting at 30.57, so roughly where that green marker is, okay? Now what I'm waiting to see happen is at the market open, which market open is less than 30 minutes, guys. At that market open, I would love to see this thing get to moving higher and faster. And if I see a lot of volume coming in on this, so let's say that volume on the 5 minute comes in, or even on the 1 minute comes in much higher than what is traded, what you see here in the past few days, then I will be looking to add into this trade, okay? So I have it marked out here. So if I zoom in on this and I'm watching this and it comes in and I see this volume on the 5 minute get above this trend line on my volume indicator, I know that we have a lot of volume coming in on this stock and it's going to be something that I'm very interested in. If this breaks down, I have two ways I'm going to play this. If this breaks down from here and heads down to my stop loss of 27.50, I will add into this if it bounces. I will watch this trade in this area. I'm only risking $150 in this area, okay? That's only half share size currently. So if it comes down to this area and we start to see a bounce, we start to see volume after it sells off, we start to see volume come in here, and it starts to bounce around, it starts to make new lower highs, meaning here's our previous low. If it makes a new lower high and another new lower high in this area, then I will add into this trade. And again, guys, these are my thoughts. These are my ideas. I could be completely and wildly wrong. It happens. That's part of trading. My batting average is very low, but that's why we exit the losers quick and we let our winners run. So that way, the batting average doesn't matter. All that matters is that my winners outweigh my losers in the long run. Okay, and if you guys don't understand the backing behind that, that's okay. We can explain that too. AMSC, we're up $102 on, or $42 for the day. Kava, we're up $62 on, or $28 on the trade. CLS, I hope this thing takes off. And I use hope very specifically with this because at this point in time with CLS, after taking the trade, I still think it needs time to set up. So I hope that it takes off. If it doesn't, I'm wrong. And I'm going to exit this trade right away so I have a bigger PP. Everybody wants a bigger PP. What do I mean by that? A bigger purchasing power. You need PP in this game in order to be able to buy things up, okay? Shout out to Kevin. Meet Kevin for that saying. But yeah, you need a bigger PP when you're playing this game. The purchasing power is the name of the game when you are playing this, okay? And right now, I am almost fully vested with the few shares that I have in there. So if I want to get more in NNE, I'm going to have to sell out of something, and that something is going to be CLS. Because I like my NVIDIA trade. We're up $115 on today or $340 on the trade. I like my NNE if this thing can continue higher. I do not like my CLS trade, but I do hope, that's why I say hope, gets back up there. I do like my Kava, and I do like my AMSC. Now, I have a ton on the watch list, guys. We went over this watch list last night. We have an amazing watch list. But the issue is I'm out of my purchasing power. I got over $60,000 right now on 4 stocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks. On 5 stocks, guys. So that being said, in order for me to gain more purchasing power, okay, I want at least another $10,000 to put on NNE, right? But I can't if I am out of purchasing power, okay? So I'm going to get rid of my shit stocks, the ones that aren't paying me, the ones that aren't doing well, like CLS, that I think needs more time to set up. And I will get into the stocks that I'm expecting to pay me more money faster now. And I think some of those are going to be showing up very, very soon. All right, let's take a look at the votes. Let's see. It looks like 91% of you say yes, we're going to close above Friday's close of 554.70. That's good. It pays to be positive, guys. And if not, that's why we have stop losses. 0% say below 554. We don't have any bears in here? What's going on? We need to get a few bears in here, that's for sure. And 9% say you're just in here for the speech, the Powell speech. And that's just fine. The Powell speech is going to be happening in 52 minutes. And we actually have market open in 22 minutes. 22 minutes, guys. So cheers. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's good to see so many people in the chat already. And the before market open, already here, already willing to do the time, to put in the time before market open to see what is going on. As the S&P creates new all-time highs once again at 554.35. Still pushing higher here, guys. I need to get some coffee. I want to run out there and grab some coffee really quick. But we'll hold off. This is actually water in here. Dan just posted the link tree in the chat. You're more than welcome to click on that. That's how you find our Discord. That's how you find the Instagram page, the Facebook, all of that good stuff. All that good stuff. And Dan Bob will have Covey posts. We'll have Covey add our Facebook group page in there real soon. Instead of my personal Facebook, we'll add the Swing Trader Facebook in there for sure. But what do you guys think? What are you watching? What do you think the S&P 500 is going to do? I think that we're gonna continue to rip, but my main watch is this IWM. Look at this. This is what you want to see here, guys. We're above that psychological $200 area. We're above it. We're heading right towards that trend line, that downward trend line. We were talking a lot about this last night, guys, about how we want to see breadth in the market. The breadth in the market is going to come from IWM. Oh, wow. AMSC looks like it's doing something. NVIDIA looks like it's doing something. Here we go. NVIDIA's getting a big pop here. We're up $140 now on this, or $365 on the trade. NVIDIA is now trading at $127.23. If you guys remember, NVIDIA was the laggard on Friday as everything else moved higher. Meta, Apple, Google, they were all moving much higher, much faster. Here, let's look at the heat map. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Berkshire, AMD. NVIDIA was the only thing on Friday that did not move. It actually came down some. So with it pulling back some, it's nice to see it's actually starting to get a pop. Maybe it will be the leader today and let the other ones take a nice little cool off break there. You know what I mean? What up, Danny? What's going on, Danny? It's good to see you, brother. Danny, if you have anything that you want to talk about, Danny, you're more than welcome to join. We can go in the water cooler, and you can be a part of this live as well. You're more than welcome to. Danny, good morning, brother. Good morning. What are you watching, Danny? I know I'm watching NNE, obviously. I think NNE just broke out above. I'm in half share size right now in NNE, risking 2750-ish area. I'm going to keep a really close eye on that. We're going to see if we get a good breakout in the morning. I would love your thoughts, Danny. We also are watching Carvana, CVNA, guys, CVNA. It's right at that base breakout area. I love to see that. USM for a trend breakout. This is a very nice area to keep an eye on. MDGL. This, I think, needs a few more days, but I have it on my watch list. Of course, Kava. We're up $102 on this pre-market action in Kava. And with 20 minutes left to go, we have a few other things. MIRM looks very tasty in this area. Dell on the daily time frame. If you look at this on the daily at the bottom here, this is the daily down here. This is your 5 minute up here, but I like to watch the hourly until market open. You can see, yeah, Danny's watching NNE too. Nothing else for me today. Yeah, I hear you. There's still a couple of good setups, Danny. You'll like Kava. Carvana. You'll like USM, Danny. That's also, guys, keep in mind, we like hot sectors, and USM is in the communication sector. The communication sector, if you haven't watched, Dan has posted it multiple times. The communication sector has been very, very hot lately. You guys can see last week, communication services was up 1.94%. And if you look at this, let's see, we can see you view full tracker, and we look at the past 5 days, communication services has been up 2.45%. If you look at the past month, communication services has been up 3.3%. The past 3 months, it's been up 6.35%. The past 6 months, it's been one of the best movers the past 6 months at 21.82%. That's amazing. That's amazing to see. And year to date, we're up 20.78%. So communication services has been a very, very hot sector lately, and USM is in that communication services. So it's really nice to see it doing what it's doing in this area. I really like to see that. But our main watch obviously is going to be NNE and Kava. We are just holding out on that. We're down about $13, a whole plate of scrambled eggs in NNE right now, but that's okay. No big deal. We're going to see what wants to come of it. We already have 12 of you in here before the market open and before the speech. The speech is happening in 46 minutes. Old Papa Powell, old Daddy Powell is coming out here, and he's going to spit his game into the mic. He's going to relinquish either positive incentive or some bearish action, depending on what he says. Of course, if he sticks to the mean, it's going to be our current data shows that we need to stay calm and collective during these trusted times. We need to keep an eye on the data as it comes in, and we will react nor too reactive or too reactive. And as the data comes in, we will also be sure to relay that message. No, I don't think we are going to, it's the same old story. We're here to keep jobs and to keep inflation down. What he wants to do is actively bring that inflation down to 2%. That is his main goal, is 2%. If we can bring it down to 2%, he'll be happy. He'll probably start relieving some of the Fed rate stays right now, currently at 5.5, and he will start to cut. Now, if we look at the CME Fed tool, as we like to do, the CME Fed tool is absolutely free. You guys are more than welcome to check things out. You can see in July, we are probably going to stay. Why do I say that? 95.3% say that we are going to stay. And in September, it looks like is going to be our first cut. We are overwhelmingly at 75.4% more likely to cut a quarter of a basis point. So we're pretty sure. We're pretty sure that we're going to cut. And then by December, if we look that far out, you guys can see we look like we're going to be down a half a point. And I've been telling you, we're going to cut a quarter of a rate point. Actually, is that, let me see, 5.5. Actually, that might be, yeah, that's 2 cuts, right? Let's see. Oh, actually, look at this. December now is 4.81% that we will be down 2/4 of a basis point. So that's going to be, half a point there. So that's really nice to see. That's really nice to see, guys. So in December, and I've been telling you guys, September for sure. December, we might get 2. December, we might get 2. And if we do get 2, that's going to be a really, really good sign for the overall market. We definitely want, everybody would love to see that. Now, let's go ahead. AMC is moving. We're up $90 or $150 in AMSC. I'm glad this thing started turning around. We were up wildly in the pre-market the day after I took it, which was, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, and then in the pre-market on Friday, it was way up, and we had a big pullback because NVIDIA did not do what the rest of the market wanted to do. Here we go. Now, Kava's finally getting a little bit of action right before market open. We have less than 15 minutes till market open, people. Less than 15 minutes till market open. So make sure that you know what you want to watch. And if you're part of our Discord, we posted that daily watch list in there, guys. I know I've been preaching it, but I work hard on these things. So I want to make sure that you guys are very aware. I want to give you good tickers to keep an eye on because these are the strong stocks. And of course, we always want you to use risk management. I even say market is slightly extended from the 10-day moving average. I am risk on, but most of these you will find was in Sunday night's meeting. Risk management is pinnacle to any successful trading strategy. I don't think I spelled successful right there, but I'm not going to change it because now you know I am human. I am a human. I love coffee and kittens. So Kava, we are up on about $62 on the day, or 28 in total on the trade. AMSC, we're up 150 on, and that CLS, I hope this is true, because that would be nice if it does gap back up to that 58.48. I'll probably take off half of my share size if it does, because I don't believe so much in this trade anymore, or I'll at least bring my stop loss up to previous low of day. NNE looks like it's popping back up there. NVIDIA, we're up 144 on the day, or $369 in total. Danny is saying LTBR. Let's take a look at LTBR. Lightbridge. Ooh, look at Lightbridge, guys. This is definitely going to go on my watch list. LTBR, a little extended from that 10-day moving average, but look how nice this thing is setting up on this hourly time frame. Look at this, guys. I'll just go ahead and draw a trend line here, and then I'm going to bring you guys over to the Trader View, the greatest platform alive, and we'll bring it up on LTBR. We'll even go ahead and put this in here, LTBR. So that way we can see it here. Look at this, guys. Oh, that's beautiful. I really like the look of this. And it's funny how wildly different things can look on different trading platforms. And right here, you can see LTBR has a beautiful trend break here. Now, what's the RS rating on this? The RS rating on this beautiful stock is only 76%. So it's a little lower than expected, but the average daily range is 13.55%. So it almost meets all the criteria, but I don't like seeing that RS rating. It's a little low. Michael Anthony says, can't hear you. You can't hear me. Come on now. Turn me up, baby. Dan, Bob, Dan, mic check, mic check. Michael says he can't hear me. Mike, I think it's on your end, dude. I do. I think it's on your end. My audio input capture is nice and high, nice and warm. Dan, Bob, Dan, the greatest moderator alive, has posted this Trader View for you in the chat. We also have an awesome video on this, guys. An awesome video on this. So make sure that you watch the video. It's in our trading school. Covey actually puts together this. Thank you, Dan Bob. Yeah, Michael, check your thing out. Except up to, oh, say, so the light bridge is up 2 days in a row. That's a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see this thing playing out like this a little bit more. Well, actually, right here. And then we could take this painting thing and we could go something like this. I could see it doing this and then taking off. I could see it doing something like that. We'll see. We'll see if that's what it wants to do. But, you know, you never know. You never know. If price action says it wants to go and volume starts to come in, this thing could really get to moving, you know. So we'll see. We'll see what it wants to do. The 5-minute looks really contagious right here. Look at these new higher lows. Very nice, clean trend line. I could see it. I could definitely see this thing getting going for sure. We love these patterns. We really do. These patterns are nice to see. So we'll see what LTBR wants to do. As NNE now is moving up, it's up 7.36%. This thing's really trying to hold that $30 area. Danny, how do you feel about an opening range break on that? You can hear me, but not very loud? Man, then turn me up, bro. Turn me up, Michael. Turn down for what, Michael? XPOF. Let's take a look at XPOF. And then we got to get focused here, guys. Oh, look at that. Swervo coming through. So Swervo, I like it. I like the way it looks. I like that it's got this area that it's traded before. It's like a breakout top right here. So I like it. I could see that. Nice cup, now with a handle, holding a 10-day moving average. And the average daily range on this is 7.3%. Let's look at XPOF on our Trader View setup. So XPOF, let's take a little peeky gander here on the daily, and let's see the average daily range on this. The RS rating is 84%. So I'd like to see that a little bit higher, but even that being said, it does meet a lot of our criteria. I do like the look of it, Swervo, looking really good. Let's see. On NNE question mark, the NNE The RS rating on NNE is 99, so that looks good. I think I will try the anchor VWAP break if it happens. Oh yeah, for NNE, yeah. That I was questioning you on NNE, yeah. So you were talking about the anchored VWAP break. Oh, I love to hear that, dude. So anchored VWAP is a beautiful thing, guys. If you're not aware of the anchored VWAP, I think I should do a little case study on anchored VWAP. So I'm gonna lock an anchored VWAP here. And so when you're saying the anchored VWAP, Danny, I mean, I pull the anchored VWAP from the top there, and we're already through it. We're already through that anchored VWAP, brother. So I'm not sure where you're pulling the anchored VWAP from, but in the pre-market, we're already well above that anchored VWAP. So where are you pulling NNE from? If not, are you talking about light? Let's take a look at the one we just added, LTBR. LTBR, let's take a look. Grab the anchored VWAP from this high. Ooh, look at that, and it already broke through. So the anchored VWAP on LTBR has already broken through in the pre-market at 393. So that's a really good sign for LTBR for some continuation here. But of course, it has broken through multiple times before. So either I would enter at the open, but I won't. Okay. I see what you're saying. I'm already in it. I'm already in NNE if that's what we're talking about. I do like this LTBR. I want to be alerted when this happens. I like XPOF2 as well. Swervo, so very nice call out. But I'm going to set my alert for this one here for LTBR. Actually, I want it down a little bit lower. There we go. All right. Well, we got 6 minutes till the market open. 6 minutes, guys. I need to get some coffee. Give me 1 second. Oh, we back, baby. Oh, the coffee is gonna be running through the veins. It's time to wake up. Wake up, baby. Wake up, have a good morning with me. Yeah, let's go. Feel free to join us at the nightly 9 p.m. Eastern in Discord. And right there it is. Discord channel right there. Or you could just click the link tree. Tradewise, good morning. We got Muley, we got Tradewise. The ladies are here. Gentlemen, watch out. The ladies are here. They're going to make way more money than us. I promise you that. I always preach it. The ladies are here. Watch out. We have 5 minutes till the market open. I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys have seen the daily watch list in the Discord. We love to post it. We love to post it. It keeps you on that straight and narrow. And we are keeping a very close eye on my shit trade for CLS where, whew, it looks like if this thing popped back up, that would be really nice to see me back up there for that break-even area. We'll see. We'll see what happens there, guys. We'll see what happens. If you guys haven't already, right before the market opens, do me a huge solidity and hit this like and subscribe. But of course, make sure that you click this live button. That's the main thing right here, guys. Right here is the live button. Click that live button. I want you guys to be up to date. I want you guys to see what is going on first and foremost. Of course, we have the votes right here. We already have 17 votes. Thank you guys so much for voting. But smash this like button, guys. Smash this like button for me and hit this subscribe button if you haven't already. We are already up to 984 subscribers. That's a huge, huge deal. 984 subscribers. We're very close to reaching that new all-time goal of 1,000. So if you guys want to be a part of this epic trading show, we do live trading commentary and we bring you old Papa Powell. He's going to be here in 33 minutes. I'm going to hand the microphone over to him and I'm going to say, Powell, do me a favor, spit some mad game on the mic. Don't drop it unless it's hot. Let's see what he has to say. Is he going to come out hawkish or dovish? That is a big discerning factor. Is he going to come out with his tie to the side and his hair undone, not so well kept? And is he going to, and the data is looking horrible. We don't think the market is going to hold out. the market is going to fail at any given time? Or is he going to say the data is looking solid, there's less job openings, we're starting to see economic contraction, we're starting to see the Fed rate stays are doing their jobs, and they have been for a while. We are planning to lift in September. I think not only a quarter of a rate point, but a half a rate point is soon to come. And then the market says, rip, rip a tater chip to the north side. So we'll see what old Papa Powell has in store for us. But while we spit our game, while we wait for Papa Powell to come out, we have about 2 minutes until that market open happens. 2 minutes, guys. That is a beautiful sign for me. I hope you guys are as prepared as I am. I know I have been preparing my ass off all weekend, bringing you that stock market watch list, bringing you the news, bringing you everything that you could possibly need to be successful in this trading, talking about and preaching about risk management and your process in your trading. So I really do hope. What? All the ladies are here? I think we just need Zamora in here. So we got TradeWise, we got Muley, we got Jolene. All we need is Zamora, and we'll have all the 4 ladies, all 4 of you. Thank you guys so much for joining. I tell you what, it's great to have more ladies in this chat than men. It's very, very rare, guys, to be honest with you. I think this is the first time I've ever seen it in a trading community where there are more females than there are males in the chat. So ladies, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate you being here. This is absolutely awesome. Thank you. So we have the trades that I'm in right now. AMSC, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to let this thing play out. Kava, which is ripping to the north side. Well, I say ripping, but that's because I'm full share size in this thing, but it's not really ripping. We're moving up higher. We're up about $142 on it. CLS, let's hopefully this thing can keep on. With 40 seconds left to go, NNE, this is going to be my main watch. We're going to see what happens with this. I'm only going to be focused on this, and then I'm going to have the S&P 500 brought up right here on the side so that way I can see it while I trade through my brokerage. Of course, if you want to, if anybody out there's watching and you want to keep tabs on how I do this, we are looking for a brokerage to sponsor us. So you're more than welcome to shoot and spit your game to me. We'll see if our ideas line up. But with just a few seconds left to go, everybody, please be aware of what's going on. The daily watch list is posted, and use risk management. Here we go, guys. Let's do this. Market is open. I'm keeping an eye on NNE. You're going to have some trades popping up right off the rip. Let's see. We got BPMC, WGS, DYN, COHR, and LTBR all going off all at once, and TWST. A lot is happening here, guys. PLTR also went off, so a lot is going on, but I am going to keep my focus on my trade, which is NNE. But do keep in mind, with everything that's going on right now, wow, what a beautiful, crazy morning we have. Right off the rip tater chip. We got USM, MIRM, TGTX, HUT, just so much going off all at once. That is crazy. I'm going to go ahead and get out of 100 of these right now, just because I want to start exiting some of this. We got a lot. CrowdStrike just came off a little bit there. Wow, what a crazy morning, guys. What a crazy morning right off the rip. I'm trying, there we go. So PBMC, WGS, DYN, COHR, LTBR, Carvana, CrowdStrike, Bros, TWST. This is a crazy morning as the S&P 500 is now at 555.62 and climbing. We're going to see what happens as NNE starts to pull back. Of course, we're going to have another day just like that. AMSC, we're up $330 on as it starts to head to the north side. Kava, look at that huge push in Kava. I hope you guys get a hold of this. This was a part of your daily watch list. We called it out at 130 is the breakout area. Or I'm sorry, that's Carvana. Kava, where's Kava? Kava, I said, I'm already holding. I think I was early. If a bigger break on 96. So we're just breaking that $96 area at 96.24. We're up $250 on that trade this morning. As CLS, we're starting to head higher on. Like I said, guys, I don't care for CLS, so I'm going to exit the rest of this trade here. I might regret this in the very near future, but I could care less. There's too much going on. I'd much rather be in something a lot better. So we're going to go ahead and sell out of CLS for a very small loss. Oh, I need to switch this to the day. There we go. All right, so I'm all out of CLS. Of course, I made $135 on the day, but overall that is a loss of $28. But I am looking at the price action for CLS, and I don't want to be a part of it if it's not going to pay me, right? That is not part of my game, as my focus is on NNE. Now, we have a lot of other things that are happening. I know BROS, I know Dan Bob Dan, the greatest moderator alive, was watching this, and we are breaking out. That there is a base top here, and we are starting to break out there. Whether the volume is there enough or not, it's not on my watch list, so I'm not going to keep an eye on it. But, of course, I am here for you, and I want you to know that it's breaking out. Dan Bob Dan. USM, it looked like it popped up. I'm going to have to reset my alert here because it's not doing too much, guys. I always put my alerts a little early. MIRM, I need to go down the line. So DYN did pop up. That's looking okay. WGS, that did pop up. It doesn't look too pretty in my opinion. LTBR did break up. Now look at that. Old Danny Boy gave us a nice look in on this first thing foremost, and it looks like it's doing very well currently. So we'll see if it wants to continue up higher. Let's see how much purchasing power I got. Okay, so I freed up about 10 grand. That's nice. That's exactly what I wanted to free up, to see if NNE wanted to do its thing. And it looks like on the 1 minute, we're breaking on the 1 minute time frame. So I think I want to add in these last 50 shares on this. We'll see if this is a good idea or not. What's the spread? About 23 cents. We're going to try and buy the bid on this. It might not get me in. We'll see. We'll see if it wants to get me in. All right, we're in. All right, so we're in 100 shares. I'm going to risk this low of day, though. I'm going to risk this low of day, so that way it is, and then I will assess the situation, just so that way I'm keeping a very, very close and tight-knit eye on this. I hope you guys watch this trade. It's absolutely beautiful. This is an opening range breakout that I just played on the 1 minute time frame. Dan Bob Dan, we just went over this. Now, I played this. We're in 100 shares, so now as we move up, I'm going to continue to do the math on this, and SOC just went off too. I'm sorry I can't keep up on the chat, guys, if you guys are chatting. We have a lot going on this morning. So NNE looks like it's doing absolutely beautiful. Let's see. Now prove us the myth that you've been beating us on profits. Danny, come on now. We know that you're the profit king in this biscuit, bro. Absolutely pumped to have you in here with us this morning. But yeah, you know, I hope I do beat you in profits. If I beat you in profits today, you know what? I'm going to take the wife out for a delicious dinner in the afternoon. But yeah, we're up $253 on Kava. On NNE, we took the opening range breakout. I want to do the math, and I want to do it in front of you now. So now you guys know I got in half of my share size in pre-market, and the breakout area was this 30.11. I'm actually in at 30.47 is my new area that I've gotten in. We'll just use this green line. We'll just go ahead and bring this down at 30.47 so you guys can see. And if I do the math, we're going to see exactly how much I am risking. So if we take 30.47 and we subtract that from the low of the day, because I'm playing an opening range breakout, the low of the day is 28.61. So we have to subtract that from 28.61, and you'll see that gives us $1.86. If we multiply $1.86 by 100, that should come out to $186. And sure enough, it's $186. So we're only risking $186 on this trade. Now, usually I risk 1% of my account, but we're gonna go ahead and leave this at $186. I'm pretty comfortable with that trade. So if we stop out quick, we can stop out and then we can reassess the situation. And if it continues higher, I can get back into this trade, risking another half of my risk size. So I just wanted to talk that out and calculate it right in front of you right now. And I hope everybody's aware that risk management is pinnacle to trading. So that is the whole reason why I took this. Now, if we zoom out, wow, you know what? A part of me wants to risk more. Why? Because the volume that's coming in on NNE. I love to see that on the 1 minute. Let's zoom out on the 5 minute. And you can see it is above the past 2 previous days traded. So that is a very, very good sign. A part of me wishes that I had gotten more in, but I said what I said, and we're going to hold out on this trade. I'm not going to get too excited. We're going to allow this half a share size to continue to work for me. As Kava looks like it's pulling right back to that area that I have bought in at. This is beautiful though for for a retest and a move higher if it wants to do that. We're still up slightly on it, but we're going to see if it wants to continue much higher. NVIDIA is now up 1.94% on the day. We're up $250 on the trade, or I'm sorry, $250 on the day, or $461 on the actual trade itself. And AMSC, look at this, we're up $288 on this trade, or $228 on the day itself as well. So things are looking very, very green in my account. I love to see that. Let's see if we can get some continuation in this overall market, as the market is trading at 555.78. So that is a very good look for this overall market. Let's see if it wants to continue to hold this gap. Now, keep in mind, we have a gap. The S&P 500 might want to fill this gap, so it's not going to surprise me any if it wants to start pulling back, as NNE is now trading at 31.57. We're starting to see more volume come in now. We're watching this on the 5-minute. We're up about $126 on this trade, so we're almost up 1R, folks, already on this trade. I'm going for 4R before I take out a quarter of my share size. All right, I need a sip, guys. How are you guys doing? How's everybody holding up out there? Let's see. I still got a ton of purchasing power. I still have a ton of purchasing power, and I know I have a ton of trades going off. I just don't want to spread my what I'm watching out too much. So we're going to go ahead. Let's take a look at ASTS, because I know that's in the communication sector. Ooh, look at that. So ASTS is now breaking out of that cup area. Oh, and it's got some good volume on it too. Goodness. Yeah, that's probably going to be a nice trade right there. There's so much going on. That was actually not a part of my trade plan, though. So I cannot take that. That's not in my watch list, so I can't take that. Let's see what we have that's within our realm. CVNA, nice pullback right back down here to the 10-day moving average. Let's see if it wants to hold. This might be a nice, if you like to play off these areas, this might be a nice, of course, don't follow what I'm saying, but this might be a nice area to buy in, because we can see it's found support off that 10-day moving average multiple times for CVNA. I am not going to take this trade, and I don't think anybody else should follow anything that I'm saying either. I could be wildly wrong. As USM, now this is the trend breakout trade that I like to see. So USN 57.17. The only issue is, and I had the same issue with the last trend break, is we're not seeing a ton of volume come in this. It's not an overwhelming amount of volume coming in on this trade, but we are seeing it break out. Also, the range on this is a little bit too high for me. We're seeing over 40 cents. Yeah, over 40 cents on the range, meaning the bid is 56.83 and the ask is 57.19. We want to see that tighten up before we get a hold of something like this. So I'm going to reset my alert once again on USM. This is exactly what it did the last time to me. Also, the average daily range, it looks like it's gone down a little bit because we're at 3.9%. Oh, TGTX, very nice, Muley. TGTX, let's take a little peeky gander at TGTX. So yeah, TGTX, was that a part of my watch list? I don't think it was. Yeah, because I wanted a few more days on TGTX. So, you know, best of hope for you, but I just found it to be a little too extended on the 10-day moving average. Also, I felt like it needed to tighten up because that moving average was too far away. So best of luck to you, Mealy. I do hope that you see profits in this, but I just think it needs a few more days personally. So we'll see what happens with that. RDW, it looks like it's tightened up very, very well. I do like this right here. We're going to go ahead and create the alert on that. Let's see. We have a ton of shit that's just popping up. Yeah, TGTX, I like that. My alert went off for that, MIRM. So that was in my watch list as well. The 3450 area that did break out. Now, the question is, was there volume? And we're not seeing too much volume. So that wouldn't have been a really good take. So let's move on and we'll see what else we got going on for us. And I'll reset that alert to see if it pops back up again for us. What else? SOC, I think that was on the watch list as well. It was not, but it did hit my alert. This thing looks like it needs some more time. So we're just going to go ahead and reset that alert because I think SOC could be a very nice one for the future. Let's take a look at, so HUT was going off. Yeah, HUT is really taking off. Look at that. CDNA, oh, CrowdStrike. CRWD. Let's take a look at CrowdStrike here. Wow, guys, look at CrowdStrike. Wow. So CrowdStrike ripped up here at 397.12, and you can see it just broke down fast and quick. It's trying to shake people out here, guys. Look at this. Huge pushback down. Huge pushback down. There is a huge profit taker. Everybody was watching this. I'm glad that I stuck to my criteria on this, because I would have been in and then stopped out of this almost immediately. So it's nice to see that that I stuck to adhere to my ADR percentages, and I did not get into crowd, because I would have entered into this on the breakout at 393, and the stop out would have been 385. I would have been out immediately with probably a $300 loss. PLTR went off. It looks like PLTR is trying to come back down and retest its gap fill. Now, like I said, it's extended from the 10-day moving average. I would like to see a cup and handle form on this. Right now we have the cup. We just need to see the handle and the 10-day moving average catch up. So I have a feeling PLTR is going to pull back. So if you are holding, just keep that in mind. You know, these things, it's swing trading for a reason. You're going to see swings in your trading. So I think TWST is the only other one I haven't looked up. So I really like TWST on this trend line right here. So I'll just draw this out for you. This looks really good. I'm going to reset my alert to see if it wants to get up above that. So twist is a nice one. And let's go back, make sure I got all you guys. I put NNE order in, but not yet filled yet. Okay, well, how is NNE doing? Let's take a look. NNE pulled back. We're up about, well, actually we're break even on the trade right now. We are seeing a lot of volume in on this trade, so we'll see if it wants to hold out. If not, and it wants to stop me out, I'll take that $186 loss. I'm totally fine with that. Let's take a look at the rest of my trades as well. So AMSC, we're up $336 so far on today's trade, or $396 in total on AMSC. Let's take a look at Kava, as Kava came back down and is retesting that breakout area. So it looks like Kava, I'm going to be very honest with you guys, I'm totally fine with this thing slowly grinding higher. Now that I'm already in it, it's fine. Take your time, grind up nice and slow, and continue to go. I'm going to let it have plenty of time. I like Kava. I've been dying to get into Kava for an awfully long time now. We're going to see if it wants to do that, as NNE is just trading right at that area, right at that opening price area. NVIDIA, look at this. Rip, tater chip. We got NVIDIA heading much higher now on volume. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Now trading up there at 128.93. Let's go NVIDIA on volume. Let's go, baby. We're up $540 on this trade currently. We want to see NVIDIA really get some legs and eggs here and start cooking some bacon, baby, because that's what we love to see and to taste. So let's keep on keeping on, baby. I like to see NVIDIA up there, and as NVIDIA climbs, we know AMSC should climb with it. So let's see if we can see that, as well as AMSC is also getting volume. Now, what we definitely want to keep an eye on is the S&P 500 to see if we are going to get that pullback, and we're trading at 555.83, so it's still holding out at those highs, as MIRM alert just went off once again. MIRM, we freed up some buying power now that we sold at CLS. Let's take a look at CLS. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, as we sell CLS because of my studies, because of looking at the trading, the price action in CLS, we exited out for a very small $28 loss, but for the day, we're up $135 on it. So that is absolutely beautiful. I'm very, very happy. And also, shout out to my boy Covey for keeping a close eye on that for me and chatting with me for that. MIRDM, we're not seeing a ton of volume come in on that, but RDW just came off. And B. Stewie, I know you like RDW because it's in the aerospace. I'm not seeing a ton of volume on this either come in. We're seeing some, but not a ton. So it's not one that I'm just going to keep on resetting this alert. And I'll probably reset the alert higher and higher and higher until it's too high for me to buy. I've done that multiple times. That's A-okay. It looks like NNE is back up there at 1046. 1046, we're up about $63 on the trade. But, you know, guys, we got Papa Powell coming out in 13 minutes. 13 minutes he's going to come out here and he's going to start spitting some game. Let me see if I can't get this up and ready to see if... Where is it? Let's see here. There it is. All right. The live video will be coming up on this hearing very, very soon. And I'll make sure it's up for everybody to see. The S&P 500 is right here. We'll go ahead and keep that on the lock right now while I do this. And let me know in the chat, what do you guys got going on? What are you watching? Muley, did you end up getting in NNE or not? Let me know in the chat. Of course, we always want to use risk management when we're playing these very low float, fast moving stocks. We have about 20 votes on the chat. 80% of you say yes, will be above the opening price. SOC just went off again. We got 12 minutes. We're chilling. We're chilling out here, guys. We chilling. Jolene, I have TSM as a long hauler and it's doing well. Let's take a look at TSM. What about your average? What's your average in that price there? Hopefully you got it yesterday. Oh, Taiwan Semiconductor. Very nice. Nice gap up this morning, Jolene. It looks like it's following NVIDIA very well. And I think the reason why is because they actually supply a lot of the chips, or they get a lot of their work from NVIDIA. So, okay, cool. Nice job, Muley, for getting in. Now, what is your stop loss, Muley? That is the main question there, Awesome Art. What is your stop loss on that trade? And TSM, Jolene, I need to know what your average is, honey. Let's hear it. Throw it up. I took half profit on PLTR, carrying half. Very nice job, Muley. I like to hear that you're making those gains on PLTR. That's what I'm talking about. And I think I have you marked out on PLTR, but I'm not 100% sure. Your average is 43%? No, your average price, Jolene. Where did you buy it at? What's your average price? You're up 43% on that, Jolene? If you're up 43%, hell yeah. Good for you. Or were you trying to say, yeah, what is your average price, Jolene? Trade-wise, I'm telling you, I got all the ladies in here. This channel gets all the ladies, guys. I love it. Trade-wise says I bought some NNE. Energy makers make me a bit nervous, but I agree with the analysis. Yeah, just make sure that you have your stop loss in there. Make sure that you have your stop loss, guys, because if you're taking NNE, make sure that you understand the risk management and you have a stop loss in place, because you need to know how much you're risking first and foremost. Like, I know that if my stop loss is hit on NNE, that I will lose exactly $186. So if you're getting into this, you need to know what your stop loss is. Mine is low of the day. Yours could be something. Who knows what yours is, okay? But mine is the low of the day, and I know if I stop out, I'm gonna lose $186. Now, I lose, right? My batting average is only 30%. I lose quite a bit, but my winners are big. So that's why we always have to use risk management. So make sure you know how much you're risking and what your risk is. So congratulations for getting in on the trade. Best of luck to all of you. It looks like it's just trying to figure out what it wants to do here as it's trading sideways. We're up about $30 on the trade right now, but this might just be a, just some sideways action for a while. Looks like Dell, D-E-L-L, just popped up on my charts here. Is this where Dell actually wants to get to rip it? It looks like we have higher volume than the previous day and some more. It's nothing too crazy on Dell. Nothing too crazy. I'd like to see Dell really work here. Let's see. If we take Dell, and I always like to use like worst case scenario for this. So it looks like Dell is right at its breakout area. Right at that breakout area. We're going to see. So Dell, when it comes to its volume, we can see we are getting much more higher than average volume. I don't think I'm ready to take a trade on Dell just yet, but it does look like it's right there, guys. Dell is right there. It's really wanting to rip. It's really wanting to rip here. D-E-L-L, guys. That's where I'm watching with 9 minutes left to go. That hearing should be starting soon, so let me make sure that we have this up and ready for us, guys. Let me make sure this is all up and ready to go. I want to make sure we don't miss the speech, because that's what we're here for. So banking Senate, let me just go ahead and do this. Let me find it here. I think that's it right there. Yes, I think it is. All right, we'll see. We'll see if it pops up here for us. It doesn't start till 10 a.m., so we get another 8 minutes for the old Papa Powell speech. I do like what Dell is doing here, though. This is a nice look for Dell as we are green, green, baby. What a beautiful day for my P&L as of right now. Of course, everything can change in a heartbeat, but I do like to see that I'm up well over $1,000 for the day, guys. 1K so far. We're going to see if we can make a little bit more money. Of course, NNE is looking good, but we want to get this thing to a ripping, baby. What are you doing? Let's go, NNE. What are you waiting for? All the ladies that are in it, it's time to get going. Rip, tater chip, baby. Let's go to the north side. And all I can do is sing it to the north side, but rip, tater chip, baby. Let's get going as the S&P 500 is waiting for old Papa Powell to come out at 556.11. Let's see if we can continue higher. I know we were stuck at that 555 for so long, as the S&P 500 is trying to continue to push higher and hold this gap up to the north side. Let's take a look at this on the daily to see what she's looking like. Let's go ahead and zoom out. There we go. Look at this. Our fourth green day in a row. Are we going to be able to continue to head to the north side? We're going to see very, very soon. As we are up about $100 on NNE, we are up about $374 on AMSC. Kava, as that huge rip came right back down and is retesting that breakout area. Can it continue higher today? I'd really like to see that. If it can continue higher, we're up about $126 on that trade. There's NNE at 11%. Really is having a hard time at this 3170 area. Can it push higher, up about 120 bucks? Nvidia, we're up about $663 on Nvidia right now with the volume to back it up. We like to see that. Let's keep on keeping on for Nvidia, because if Nvidia heads higher, it's also going to help bring the market higher. Jolene says, let's go NNE. TradeWise says, got it in there. Actually added stop to all of my trades this morning. I had mental stops in there, but they were not working, and add stops in. You know, you're going to hear out there a lot of people saying, don't use hard stops. They're going to stop hunt. They're going to do this. Yeah, they do stop hunting. They do. But if you get the right price and you have your stop in, it's better to have that stop hunt and not it flush down much lower and then you like go freaking out on it, you know, and then stop out at a much lower price. I always use a hard stop. I always am using a hard stop. So we definitely just, that's what I preach here. We use a hard stop, okay? Oh, and there we go. AMSC, we're up about $500 on now, $444 on AMSC. Kava looks like it's still not paying the bills just yet. We're up a little bit on this trade, but hey, I want to see higher as NNE pushes to 12%. We have about 5 minutes until this is supposed to start for us. So I hope they give me an update on the Jerome Powell speech here. The semi-monetary policy report to Congress Tuesday, July 9th. Oh, that says July 9th. I'm on the wrong day here, it looks like. Let's see, July 9th, upcoming 10/7/9. Let me find it. Let me find it here, guys, though. Fed speech today live. There we go. Fed live. All right, let me bring this up. There we go. That's for June 12th opening statements. July. Where is the live for July? Come on, let's go. I'm not seeing anything on it just yet, guys. Let's see. We'll see. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. I gotta find it. I like it, though. I like seeing what's happening right now. I do. I like seeing what's happening right now. The overall market's doing well. It's doing well. I'm trying to find this speech for you guys. Fed Chair Powell testifies at 10. We got about 3.5 minutes. Stay calm. Nobody freak out. Let's see. February. What? Why does that say? Okay, there we go. Question and answer. Yeah. So where the hell is it? Come on now. Let's see, that's March 6th. There we go. All right, there we go. I found it, guys. Oh, that took long enough. That took me long enough, but I found it. All right, let's see. Let me make sure I got this up the way it needs to be. We're gonna put this in front of you. With just a few minutes left to go, we got it figured out. The old boomer figured it out. All right, cool. I'm glad we got it all up here, guys. So let me just go ahead and do this. And bring this in front of yous. Bear with me, guys. I'm gonna get this all squared away. FLYE alert is going off, Danny boy. All right, here we go, guys. Let me blow this up for you. So that way we have it up. You guys should be able to see that just fine. And of course, we'll turn off the music. The lo-fi music will get turned off now. There we go, and we'll turn this on. And you'll hear some background noise, but he's gonna be starting in 1 minute, 40 seconds. So if you guys are just joining me for the Fed Powell speech, thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. We'll go ahead and do some background trading, but look at my screen really quick while you guys are here. Smash that like button for me. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. We're at 984 subscriber. I absolutely would love to see everybody that is in here right now subscribed. We got plenty of ladies in here today. Jolene, what's going on, Jolene? Hope to see rockets for you, Danny. Yeah, baby. What'd Danny say? Let's go. Let's see. I hope to see some rockets from you, Danny. Yeah. Let's catch up on this chat. Let's go NNE. Yeah. Who the F doesn't use hard stops? Some degens. Yeah. Danny, I agree 100%, and that's why we get along so well. You and I are on the exact same page, dude. We always want to use hard stops, no matter what. Anybody that preaches you otherwise is a guru, and you need to just exit to the left. To the left, to the left. If it hits 100, you will see me posting rocket emojis for the first time. Dude, I don't give a shit. I post rocket emojis all day long. So let's go ahead and give NNE a little rocket emoji right now. I'm not afraid of a rocket emoji. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's skyrocket to the north side and see the moon, baby. Because you know why? Because that is where we want to go. That's where we want to go. All the way up here. Come on. Let's go. We'll put it at 100 right here. Here's the moon at 100. I'm not afraid, dude. This is pure entertainment, baby. So we got a big rocket. We want to get to that moon, all right? Actual size. And we'll see what happens, guys. All right? I didn't mean to make all that kind of rhymes, but yeah. Here's our rocket. Let's get going. Let's get to that damn moon. And there we go. We have the alert is going off. Old Papa Powell should be... Now, how do I turn off the alarm? Hang on, let's figure this out real quick. All right. Yeah, I get it. I don't know how to turn off the alarm, guys. Alarm. No, it's not on there. Stopwatch? No. Bear with me while the boomer tries to figure out how to turn off his alarm.
Senate committee, even with Senator Tillis, has come to order. Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. Today we'll vote on the nomination of Ron Borzakowski to be director of the Office of Financial Research and Treasury if confirmed.
Wow, anybody want to help me out on this? Oh, there it is.
Against risks that reach across the financial system, an important position and one we need to fill quickly. He's qualified. This committee previously advanced his nomination. Given we have strict time constraints, I'll forego offering a longer opening. Senator Scott, do you wish to offer an opening?
Dismiss.
No. Thank you. We'll proceed to a roll call vote on the nomination of Ron Borzakowski to the Director of the Office of Financial Research, Department of Treasury. The clerk will call the roll. Nomination of Ron Borzakowski be director.
No, there's one tomorrow too, Swervo.
Mr. Chairman.
We're going to be doing it tomorrow, Swervo, as well. So.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Menendez. Aye. Mr. Tester. Aye. Mr. Warner. Aye. Ms. Warren.
Jolene.
Mr. Van Hollen.
Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Ms. Cortez Masto.
That's pretty good.
Ms. Smith.
Look at AMSC,
Mr. Warnock.
$565 on
Mr.
the day,
Fetterman.
baby. That's how you do it.
Mr.
We want
Ms.
to make
Butler.
some money? Well, we're making money.
Mr.
156
Scott.
on Carvana. NNE,
Mr.
we're up a
Crapo.
small $52.
No by proxy.
We're not here for $52.
Mr. Rounds.
No by
We're either here to
proxy.
take a loss of 186
Mr. Tillis.
or make thousands
Mr.
on
Kennedy.
NNE. That's that.
Mr.
Next up is
Haggerty.
NVIDIA.
No by
We're up
proxy.
$613
Ms. Lummis.
on that, so we are making money,
Mr.
guys.
Vance.
Let's see.
No
we're
by
up
proxy.
roughly
Mrs. Britt.
No by proxy.
$1,300 so far today.
Mr. Kramer.
We'll see if it wants to continue to pay us.
Mr. Daines.
No by proxy.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 12 in favor and 11 opposed.
Thank you. With that, the ayes have it. With that, the nomination is hereby reported favorably to the full Senate. Thank you, everyone. The clerk will see.
I don't know what's going on in there. We're going to wait until we see old Papa Powell pop up. I don't want to hear all these old wigs chatting about nothing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we're doing really good today, guys. Doing really, really good. Look at this. 552 on that. I mean, you can't complain with $1,300 in your pocket first thing this morning. We just want to see NNE get to ripping. That's my main thing. You know, I hope I took, I hope that I wish that I took full share size on this. We got so many other things going off too. So many other alerts. UP went off. Yeah, UP went off. Look at this thing. It's just ripping. Just ripping. No trade on it though. It's just not. It's not in my playlist. What else do we have? Oh, FLYE. Oh shit, FLYE. This was part of my main watch too. Oh, look at that. So right at that breakout area. I hope you guys are paying attention to that. Where's old Papa Powell? There he is. All right, guys. Papa Powell's out here. I'm going to have to let old Papa Powell have the microphone. Keep a close eye on what he's got to say, and we'll be taking notes as well. $0.05 spread in FLYE, much better than the last time we were here. It was 20-cent spread. We are starting to get some volume in here. Nothing too absolutely absurd. Let's see what happens. And then he's back up to that 11%. Good. Papa Powell's here. Oh, Papa
Housing and Urban
Powell.
Affairs. Today, we'll vote on the nomination of Ron Warzakowski to be Director of the Office of Financial Research at Treasury. If confirmed, he would oversee an office responsible for identifying and guarding against risks that reach across the financial system, an important position and one we need to fill quickly. He's qualified. This committee previously advanced his nomination. Given we have strict time constraints, I'll forego offering a longer opening. Senator Scott, if you wish to offer.
Some background noise there.
Nomination of Ron Warzakowski to the Director of the Office of Financial Research, Department of Treasury. Call the roll. Nomination of Ron Warzakowski be Director.
Let's get our old Papa Powell talking. Who gives a shit about that other guy?
Mr. Reed. Mr. Menendez. Mr. Tester.
Board of Treasury sounds like an old time smoker. And I'm only kidding around. It's just entertaining. I'm not really talking shit about the other guy. It seems like a good guy.
Ms. Perkins Masto. Ms. Smith. Mr. Warnock. Mr. Fetterman.
Come on, Papa Powell. It's 10:06. You got people waiting on you. 5:45. We're at 6:40. 6:54. Yeah, we'll give us a lot more time. Kava, look at Kava, guys, back up there, getting back
The
up
Housing and
there.
Urban Affairs Committee will come to order. Chairman Powell, if you'd like to, after your opening statement, give it
Troy
again, you
Wiseman.
can certainly do
Good to
that.
see you, brother. I'll just mute this guy until Papa Powell. Come on, let's go.
Economy, your job is clear, promote
see you,
stable
Troy.
prices
Good morning.
and maximum employment. Today, the cost of living is still far too expensive for most Americans. The Fed has only one tool available to fight those high prices, interest rates. That tool does nothing to address the real costs, the real cause for why costs remain too high. Corporations price gouging to boost profits and make their shareholders richer. Higher interest rates don't force corporations to lower their prices, but high interest rates are raising housing costs, hindering wage growth, stifling small businesses. We all know that. Now's the time for the Fed to decide if it's going to make good on its commitments to workers and to their families by lowering interest rates, by protecting our financial system from Wall Street executives who have used their wealth and their power to influence economic policy and avoid accountability for their for their risky bets. Excuse me. Keeping rates too high for too long strangles the economy. No one wants this. It makes it harder for small businesses to expand and hire more workers, undermining job creation. Higher rates also stifle overdue investments that are creating high-quality, good-paying jobs and that are necessary for us to remain the most competitive and innovative economy in the world. High interest rates are raising housing costs higher and higher for families already facing a tough market with too few options and too high prices. I hear from so many Ohioans who feel trapped. Those who rent feel like they'll never be able to afford to buy. Those who already own their homes feel like they'll never be able to afford a larger one if they decide to grow their family. If they're fortunate enough to have an interest rate from a couple years ago, they obviously don't want to give it up. It limits their choices, it limits the housing supply, and by driving up construction costs, higher rates make it even harder to build new apartments and homes. So we have even less supply at exactly the same time when it's harder to afford a mortgage. Families are stuck delaying the purchase of their first home and renting for longer. That cycle drives rents up even further. Americans pay a steep price for higher interest rates. Continued high rates are not going to make life less expensive for workers and their families. We know why prices are high years after supply chains have improved. It's the same cause of so many of the problems in our economy. Corporations want bigger profits to reward their executives. In 2022, at the peak of inflation, corporate profits soared to historic levels. That's not hyperbole. That's fact. Corporate profits soared to historic levels. As you know, where those profits went, right into the pockets of their top executives. That same year, the largest multinational corporations gave out nearly $1.5 trillion in stock buybacks and dividends. Americans today pay more for groceries than they have in 30 years. Ohioans are paid for corporate. Every time you go to a grocery store, Ohioans pay for corporate executives' bonuses and stock buybacks. Every time you go to the grocery store, grocery shoppers are paying for corporate executive bonuses and stock buybacks. The biggest corporations are always finding new ways to charge people more to increase their profits. Fast food restaurants, big stores are experimenting with electronic price tags so they can change prices constantly, making it easier to sneak prices up little by little, making it harder for people to comparison shop and find the store at the lowest price. Many companies increase their profits by charging more for less. The media started calling it shrinkflation. Senator Casey, our colleague from Pennsylvania, has particularly been a leader pointing this out. A bottle of Gatorade used to be 32 ounces, now it's 28 ounces. But the price hasn't gone down, and if anything, it's gone up a bit. It's why I introduced legislation that would stop that kind of deceptive corporate practice. It's the kind of solution we need to take on corporate price gouging. Has nothing to do, Mr. Chairman, as you know, with higher interest rates. The Fed doesn't only set monetary policy. You also make the rules that keep our banking system safe and sound and consumers' money safe. We've had some positive development, Mr. Chair, since the last time you testified in June, like the update to the Community Reinvestment Act. Thank you for your work on this. This took years of listening carefully to all stakeholders. It was long overdue.
Very interesting.
We'll be watching to make sure you implement this quickly so banks are fulfilling the purpose of the Community Reinvestment Act. I spoke to Ohio bankers yesterday, most of them small banks. They understand the importance of this. You also issued an updated capital requirements proposal called Basel III, the subject of much discussion in this committee. Strong capital requirements, how we ensure if Wall Street bets don't pay off, shareholders and investors are on the hook, not taxpayers. Too many examples in this committee, in this Congress, in this country of taxpayers holding the bag for corporate misfeasance and malfeasance and greed. We need these guardrails in place. I urge you to remain committed to protecting the public, despite the massive amount of money big banks and their lobbyists are spending to trying to kill these taxpayer protections. Let's finish the job. Let's finalize Basel III. Last year's bank failures also demonstrate the dangers of letting the banks chip away at rules and oversight. It's entirely predictable. Bankers desperate to increase their already massive profits take big risks that undermine our economy. When things go wrong, bank executives come to regulators with their hands out, accepting no responsibility. It's why Congress must finish the job and pass our bipartisan Recoup Act. Senator Scott and I worked on 21-2 in this committee to hold senior bank executives accountable when they gamble with customers' money. When the biggest banks exercise special privilege, they do so at the peril of our broader economy. We've seen that too many times. We know that's the source of so much that's wrong in this country. Big corporations using their power and influence to write the rules of our economy to the benefit of them and their executives and their investors, to the detriment of everyone else. It's why I stand up for workers and why I stand up for their right to organize. It's why I stand up to take on railroads and drug companies and the biggest banks and corporations who time and time again try to rewrite the rules to increase their profit margins. Chair Powell, I look forward to hearing from you today. Thank you, how the Fed will work to promote an economy where everyone who wants a good job has the opportunity to find one. Senator Scott.
Thank you. Chair Powell, thank you for coming this morning. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. Certainly, 3 days, March 10th, it will be the one-year anniversary of the failure of the Silicon Valley Bank. SVB marked the third largest bank failure in U.S. history and certainly the largest since the 2007-2008 financial crisis. I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again today, that there were three major components to SVB's failure. First, the bank was rife with mismanagement. Second, there was a clear supervisory failure, and our regulators were certainly asleep at the wheel. And third, President Biden's reckless spending caused record high inflation, which resulted in drastic interest rate hikes and tremendous loss. When you print and spend trillions of dollars at the end of COVID, we should not be surprised that we have record high inflation.
Good to see you. I'm glad you can make it with us.
Record high inflation translates
My
into
little man, yeah, I know
today still 40% higher
busted in the door.
for gas for your car, 30% higher
busted
for
in the door and he
your
was like,
food,
"Da-da."
20% higher for your energy costs. The
But back to the meeting, guys,
devastation the average
some serious
American
stuff
is
is
facing
being
because of
asked by Powell.
Bidenomics
We're
is
watching the S&P
undeniable,
500 at
but certainly
555.90
measurable.
right now. Very important.
So I'm glad to
see
spend some
what
time
Powell
talking about the state of our
has to
economy.
say
An economy that
about
has
the
been
state of the
ravaged,
economy.
as I've just
I'm glad
spoken
we're all
about,
here.
by
Let's learn a
inflation,
little something
suffering
today.
under the
You'll
weight
see me doing
of an open
some
border
swing trading in the
and
background,
millions of
so-
illegal
but
immigrants
I'm glad
and
you can make
drowning
it.
in
Welcome.
disastrous regulations. I hear from my constituents all the time that inflation and an unsustainable cost of living continue to impact their families. For far too many, the American dream seems further and further out of reach than ever before. And frankly, the past 3 years of this administration's failed policies have landed us right in that spot. In fact, last month, Treasury Secretary Yellen sat before this committee and attempted to spin a narrative of how strong the economy is, how well off consumers are, and how much people have in the bank, thanks to Bidenomics. But in the midst of this, she also admitted that many prices are not going down. In fact, she said, and I quote, "We don't have to get these prices down." Tell that to the mechanic working in South Carolina. Tell that to the teacher trying to put gas in the tank. It is simply unacceptable. Because the truth is that Americans are now spending more of their income on food than they have in 30 years. The truth is that housing affordability remains at its lowest level in 40 years.
Much higher volume just traded on it.
But inflation isn't the only concern I'd like to raise. I'd also like to address the economic impacts of illegal immigration. During your recent interview on 60 Minutes, you stated that over time, the U.S. economy has benefited from immigration. let's be clear. America is a nation of immigrants, no doubt. But when we talk about illegal immigration today, we must also face the dire reality that our towns and our cities are suffering from the adverse impacts of illegal immigration facilitated by the Biden administration's open, unsecure, and unsafe southern border. Because of President Biden's policies, we've seen over 7 million illegal immigrants cross our borders in just 3 years. By the time this election happens this year in November, the numbers suggest it could be as high as 10 million illegal immigrants coming into our country. So we cannot have an honest conversation about the benefits of legal immigration in our labor force without also addressing the elephant in the room. Our country is strained. Our economy is strained under the weight of illegal immigration. In fact, recent reporting has highlighted that cities and states across our country are struggling to keep pace, and some have been forced to cut public services to Americans in order to fund the cost of feeding and housing illegal immigrants. One clear example we saw in New York City were the poorest kids in the city, minority kids in the city, were stuck at home because the city was using the schools to house illegal immigrants. Another example, the city of Denver recently announced that some of its employees may have their hours cut in order to reallocate funds toward the city's migrant crisis. How in the world is that fair to Americans? It's not. We must get the illegal immigration crisis under control, because if we don't, our local economies will continue to be crushed and opportunities will continue to be stripped from our citizens and their families. Finally, as if inflation and the negative impacts of illegal immigration were not enough, the tsunami of regulatory red tape coming from our financial regulators further threaten economic opportunity across the board. For months, we've heard bipartisan criticism of the Fed's Basel III endgame proposal, which will restrict lending and access to credit for those who need it the most. I was certainly pleasantly surprised to hear your comments about Basel III and your thoughts on its future. When 97% of the comments that you receive are negative, that's good news. Good news for the American consumer, good news for entrepreneurs who would like to start a business but do not have access to capital, perhaps even good news for millennials who would love to become a first-time home buyer. The opposition to Basel III comes from diverse array of interests, from community leaders, farmers, to housing groups. We've even heard opposition in this very room, on this very committee, from Democratic senators. I look forward to hearing your testimony and looking forward to asking some questions as well.
Thank you, Senator Scott. We'll hear today, as we do every 6 months at least, from Chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, on monetary policy, the state of our economy. Please proceed. Thank you for your service to our country.
S&P 500
Thank you,
dropped
Chairman
very,
Brown, Ranking
very
Member
swiftly
Scott,
there on
and other
some
members
volume,
of the committee.
down
I
to
appreciate the
555.42,
opportunity to present the Federal
still
Reserve's
much higher than
semi-annual
previous
monetary
day's close.
policy report today. Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. The economy has made considerable progress toward these objectives over the past year. While inflation remains above the FOMC's objective of 2%, it has eased substantially, and the slowing in inflation has occurred without a significant increase in unemployment. As labor market tightness has eased and progress on inflation has continued, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals have been moving into better balance. Even so, the committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks and is acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. The FOMC is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective. Restoring price stability is essential to achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. I'll review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. Economic activity expanded at a strong pace over the past year. For 2023 as a whole, gross domestic product increased 3.1%, bolstered by solid consumer demand and improving supply conditions. Activity in the housing sector was subdued over the past year, largely reflecting high mortgage rates. High interest rates also appear to have been weighing on business fixed investment. The labor market remains relatively tight, but supply and demand conditions have continued to come into better balance. Since the middle of last year, payroll job gains have averaged 239,000 jobs per month, and the unemployment rate has remained near historical lows at 3.7%. Strong job creation has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, particularly among individuals aged 25 to 54, and a continued strong pace of immigration. Job vacancies have declined, and nominal wage growth has been easing. Although the jobs to workers gap has narrowed, labor demand still exceeds the supply of available workers. The strong labor market over the past 2 years has also helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased notably over the past year, but remains above the FOMC's longer-run goal of 2%. Total personal consumption expenditures prices, or PCE prices, rose 2.4% over the 12 months ending in January. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%, a notable slowing from 2022 that was widespread across both goods and services prices. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to have remained well anchored, as reflected by a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. After significantly tightening the stance of monetary policy since early 2022, the FOMC has maintained the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5% since its meeting last July. We have also continued to shrink our balance sheet at a brisk pace and in a predictable manner. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. We believe that our policy rate is likely at its peak for this tightening cycle. If the economy evolves broadly as expected, it will likely be appropriate to begin dialing back policy restraint at some point this year. But the economic outlook is uncertain, and ongoing progress toward our 2% inflation objective is not assured. Reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could result in a reversal of progress that we've seen in inflation and ultimately require even tighter policy to get inflation back to 2%. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering any adjustments to the target range for the policy rate, we will carefully assess the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. The committee does not expect that it will be appropriate to reduce the target rate until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Federal Reserve will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
You've acknowledged the Fed likely waited too long to raise rates when prices shot up in 2021. We can't make that mistake again, Mr. Chair, at the expense of workers. If the Fed waits until unemployment starts increasing, it may be too late to cut rates in time to save American jobs. Why shouldn't the Fed act now to prevent workers from losing their jobs rather than reacting after the fact?
So we're well aware of that risk, of course, and very conscious of avoiding it. And what we said is if what we expect and what we're seeing is continued strong growth, a strong labor market, and continuing progress in bringing inflation down, if that happens, if the economy evolves over that path, then we do think that the process of carefully removing the restrictive stance of policy can and will begin over the course of this year.
I mean, I know we've had this conversation publicly here or privately also that, working people are hit the hardest with inflation. They're also hit the hardest when companies try to cut costs with layoffs. This town too often seems to forget that maximum employment is part of the Fed's dual mandate. Let me ask you about bank supervision. Senator Scott mentioned that. Last year's bank failures illustrate the need for strong oversight. SVB grew too big, too fast. Fed supervision didn't react decisively enough. The Fed, in response, undertook an assessment of its supervisory process to identify and address gaps related to the speed, the force, the agility, if that's the right word, of its supervision. Explain what concrete steps the Federal Reserve's taken to strengthen supervision and any specific areas where work to make improvements is ongoing.
So this is a very broad area of work. There are, many, many people in the Federal Reserve System who are involved in supervision, thousands of them, and there's a rule book, and so there's been careful study and thought and a lot of listening to understand how we can meet those goals of being quicker and more effective. Basically, is how I would say it. If you look at Silicon Valley Bank, we weren't quick enough and we weren't effective enough where we were in, and so we're working hard to develop a new rule book and another set of practices, which is still going to be evidence-based and fair, but it's going to involve earlier interventions and more effective ones. And I think this is work that's ongoing and will be for some time.
Thank you. The job of the Fed, of all public officials, is to serve the American people, not their stock portfolios. We've seen abuses in this body. We've seen abuses at the Federal Reserve. I wrote to you last month asking the Fed to identify substantive penalties for board officials who violate the trading rules. Where is that in the process? And I expect these rules in place before the next monetary policy hearing in 6 months. Where is it?
We got our own Inspector General gave us 6 things to work on. I read the list from beginning to end, and the 6th one was what you said, and I just said we're going to do all of these. Let's get going. So we've done 5 of them, and we're working on the 6th.
And it will be finished within 6 months when you're back?
I want to get it right. I certainly hope so and expect so.
Expect so is a better answer than hope so. One last question. More and more, many companies use algorithms that combine competitors' price information to engage in what they call dynamic pricing or surge pricing. You know that corporate PR teams worked hard on this. Just another way for corporations to make it harder for consumers to seek out lower prices and to pad corporate profits. Are you concerned that the wide adoption of these price gouging strategies, these pricing schemes, if you will contribute to inflation?
I think it works both ways. Let me say that, we're well aware of this trend and we're monitoring it. Remember that prices go down when there's no one in the store, and they go up when there are a lot of people if you're doing dynamic pricing. Same thing with the ride companies. It works both ways. I don't know that it have implication for inflation. It would certainly have implications for consumers who need to be informed.
Sure. You think that this kind of surge pricing might lower prices overall?
That's my understanding is that the idea is that in slow periods, prices actually go down, and in busy periods they go up.
But these are sophisticated economists working for these big companies, and they're not going to do things to lower their profits.
I think the price mechanism is incredibly important in our economy. I think we need to give companies the freedom to do that as long as they're not fixing prices or failing to disclose the nature of the price changes to the public.
I have a few seconds. Research has indicated constrained supply was behind a significant amount of the inflation we've seen over the last few years. If the supply chain, for instance, of autos had been more resilient, or if there had been more housing availability, would that have made your job easier?
Yes, in a word. Yeah, a big part of the inflation was, and we saw it in 2023 when the supply chain problems unwound and when the labor supply shock that we had unwound as well, we saw inflation come down very quickly in the second half of the year. But it's also down to, tight monetary policies playing a role as well.
Which leads me to the plea with you to speak out about inflation, about the contribution of corporate profits and greed to inflation. Thank you.
Oh, I know you are done. That's true. Well, I was
Find yourself agreeing with me more and more often? Is that what?
That would be a nightmare, and I'm awake. So what I would say, however, is that the fact of the matter is that so often, if in fact 60%, I actually listened to what you said, which was remarkable. The fact that 60% of Americans today can't afford a $1,000 emergency, I can't imagine how the average millennial affords a down payment for a home. I can't imagine how they take into consideration when they're looking at a snapshot of their financial future, fixing and repairing or having a plan for obsolescence that happens for every homeowner in the country. I think the issue is far more complicated and would love to delve into that over the next 4 minutes and 18 seconds. But my first question is a combination between the challenges of illegal immigration and crime. It seems like every single week there's another story of another city underwater attempting to feed and house millions of illegal immigrants, and American taxpayers are footing that bill. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, just recently in Denver, we saw city workers having their hours essentially zeroed out so that the city could allocate more resources for the illegal immigrants. In San Francisco, they say that the average cost between San Francisco and Oakland, because of crime, is almost $4 billion. Couple that with in New York, you see Governor Hochul bringing out the National Guard and the state police to help reduce the impact of crime. At the same time, Mayor Adams says he needs more money because the state of affairs from illegal immigrants in the city is devastating the economy, scaring the citizens, and reducing the opportunity for business as usual to return to New York City. So my question is, can you explain how our economy is expected to continue shouldering the burden and the costs because of illegal immigration? And what, if any, information do you have as it relates to the impact of this surge of crime in our major cities on the economic outcomes of those cities? Because I heard the discussion that when you have more folks in the store, you have more shoppers, except for these days, when you have more folks in the store, sometimes they're just there to steal.
So you quoted my statement earlier, and it was an accurate quote, for which I thank you. But I would say right before that, what I said was immigration policy, very important, very much under discussion, and it's none of our business. We don't set immigration policy, and we don't comment on it. So,
but you commented on immigration. So my point, though, is that when you're going to tell a story, please tell the whole story, especially when the nation is frustrated by nearly 10 million folks by the end of this year coming into the country and having the kind of negative impact on prices, on crime, on the challenges that everyday Americans, especially Americans living in the poorest parts of America, face on a daily basis.
So as you accurately quoted, I said over time. So I was referring to the history, which with you agreed. So I was staying as far as I possibly could from the current political context. And it's really not appropriate for us. We're independent. We like to remain that way. And the way we do that, one of the ways, is by staying out of political issues that we really aren't assigned. And so the kinds of issues you're talking about are very, very real. I don't deny that, but they're really not for us.
So the Fed does not consider the impact of 10 million illegal immigrants coming to our country and the costs associated with those illegal immigrants, nor do they consider the impact on states like New York or California or Illinois, where the devastation of crime ravishing the poorest Americans has an impact. We don't take that into consideration.
So, we do, and so does the Congressional Budget Office, we do try to estimate population, and we try to estimate the effect of immigration, legal or illegal, on the size of the workforce and on GDP. If you look at the Congressional Budget Office has, as you probably know, a detailed assessment of all the things like that. We don't really have a way, and we do look at the finances in the aggregate of state and local governments, and the hiring that they do. So that's something we look at, but we wouldn't do a very specific assessment like that. I mean, CBO probably would, but we wouldn't do that.
Thank you.
President Scott, Senator Menendez of New Jersey is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin my questions, I want to celebrate that in the past year we have seen the first Latino Federal Reserve governor and the first ever Latino Federal Reserve Bank president. These are historic milestones that show we are finally making progress, something that I have been at for quite some time, to the leadership of our economic institutions. So I want to applaud that. And Mr. Chairman, I hope that progress can continue and extend to the rest of the Federal Reserve staff.
Thank you.
I agree with my friend, the ranking member, that when you tell a story, you should tell the whole story.
Damn.
Mr. Chairman, are you aware of the Washington Post February 27th article that says the economy is roaring and immigration is a key reason?
I don't recall that, but I would have read it.
Let me read it to you. Immigration has propelled the U.S. job market further than just about anyone expected, helping cement the country's economic rebound from the pandemic as the most robust in the world. It goes on to say, economists and labor experts say the surge in employment was ultimately key to solving unprecedented gaps in the economy that threaten the country's ability to recover from prolonged shutdowns. Would you take issue with those statements?
There are a lot of adjectives and adverbs in there that you wouldn't see in Fed world. But the
take out the adjectives and give me on the substance.
The story is, I think, broadly that it is that there was a very significant increase in the size of the workforce last year, and it was happening all during the year, and we were wondering what it was. And the answer was it was really two things. It was labor force participation, but it was also immigration. And if you look at the Congressional Budget Office numbers, it kind of makes sense because there was a lot of growth. Wages were coming down. The economy is bigger. And those are probably in part affected. This is without making any judgments on immigration or immigration policy, but I think that's an economic fact.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting the facts are that we had 10 or 11 million jobs that were going unfulfilled in our economy. They lacked the productivity that is necessary for success economically. And as part of that, clearly, immigration helped fuel part of our revival coming out of the pandemic. In fact, those were the people who were the essential workers when the rest of us were staying home. So I agree we need to do what is necessary to have a regularized border, but I also think that just to create the context of immigration as a scourge is absolutely wrong. Let me turn to another question. In my view, the sticky inflation we've been seeing in the housing sector is principally due to the massive nationwide housing shortage. The Fed's monetary policy report attributes the shortage to restrictive zoning, high interest rates, and tighter underwriting by banks. I would also add to that list underfunding of key HUD programs that shore up and expand our supply of affordable housing. If the housing supply shortage continues to grow, are we likely to see continued housing inflation?
Yes, we are.
And housing is already becoming less and less affordable for low and middle-income Americans. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition's 2023 Out of Reach report, a worker earning the minimum wage in New Jersey would have to work 2 full-time jobs to afford a modest one-bedroom rental home at fair market rent. Do you agree that increasingly unaffordable housing is a problem for the economy?
I think there are two things going on. One is a longer-term housing shortage, and the other is the pandemic effects and the associated higher interest rates, which are things that will pass through. When all that passes through and rates are normalized, we'll still have the underlying housing shortage, and it's going to be causing upward pressure on housing prices.
Now, the monetary policy report noted that, quote, home purchases by low-income households have fallen disproportionately more because mortgage lenders impose maximums on the ratio of a borrower's debt service payments to the borrower's income. I'm worried about how this dynamic will interact with the recently proposed capital requirements proposal, which, according to analysis from the Urban Institute, would disproportionately increase the cost of mortgages for Black, Hispanic, and low and income moderate borrowers. Given this, isn't there a risk that if the capital rules implemented without changes, that it could make it even harder for disadvantaged borrowers to attain home ownership?
There is a risk like that, and we're very focused on it.
And hopefully you're working to mitigate it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Chairman. Senator Rounds from South Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, welcome back. Look, first of all, I've appreciated the way that you've approached the discussions in front of this
We're almost
committee,
to the average
and I
daily
understand
traded
your
volume
desire
for
to stay as
NNE.
neutral as possible with regard to the politics involved in an election year. But I do have some questions here, specifically with regard to the Basel III Endgame proposal. An analysis of that proposal found that 97% were either opposing it or expressing substantial concerns. In the hearing last March on the Monetary Policy Report, you stated that the Federal Reserve is a consensus organization, and you said, and I quote, I will do everything I can possibly to bring people together in consensus and have a capital framework that could be broadly supported. My question to that is, do you currently believe that there is a consensus on this capital framework?
I believe that we will have one. I'm fairly confident that we will have such a consensus when we do move forward.
So we could expect that you will probably not call a vote on the proposal until you believe that there is a consensus?
I think that's right. I mean, we're just in the process of digesting the comments and then making the appropriate changes.
Thank you. As you are aware, I've weighed in several times on the concerns that I have with regard to Basel III Endgame, including I'm concerned about the lack of transparency, the negative effects on mortgage lending and home affordability by disincentivizing banks from offering high loan-to-value loans that primarily help first-time home buyers and low to moderate income borrowers. I'm concerned that the proposal will make buying a home harder than it already is for many. And further down the road, I fear that it could disincentivize mortgage lending from the largest banks, particularly with regard to the secondary market and their impact on even smaller banks that do business with them. Would you be willing to withdraw the proposal or repropose with significant modifications, particularly addressing the concerns that I and others have on this committee, raising specifically with regard to the impact? And I'm thinking of Freddie and Fannie in particular, and what the impact might be. What would you see as the process involving those particular issues?
So on those issues, we're well aware of and very focused on those issues. We haven't decided what to do about that yet, but we get it on those issues. In terms of process, we're not at the stage of making that decision. I will say, if it turns out to be appropriate when we get to that point for us to repropose parts or all of the thing, then we won't hesitate to do so.
Okay, thank you. Makes me feel a little bit better because I do think there are some very serious problems that would occur if the Basel III Endgame as proposed goes into effect. And I most certainly am hoping that the Federal Reserve will find a consensus on this. And it sounds like that may very well include some significant modifications if it were to be brought at all. Is that a fair statement?
I expect there will be material and broad changes to the proposal before it comes back to the committee for consideration, the board for consideration.
Thank you, sir. Let's just, with regard to the economy today, a limited level of price growth is believed to help facilitate economic expansion, reduce the risk of recession, and help businesses and consumers plan. However, during the Biden administration, we saw inflation climb to 13%, and those prices are now the new norm. I know that you make it a policy not to comment on the administration's fiscal policy, but it is well known that I really do believe that high inflation and high prices have been a direct result of President Biden's policies, failed in many cases, that the Federal Reserve has limited tools to address some of the problems that these policies created.
Not enough volume.
We talk about supply side versus demand side on these costs. What have been some of the unintended consequences from raising the federal funds rate as rapidly as you felt that you had to as the chair and as the committee? What are some of those? I know that we talked a little bit about SVP and the failure there, their inability to look at treasuries and the increasing interest rates and so forth. But can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen that were negative with regard to trying to respond to those high inflation rates?
Yes. So high interest rates are hard for businesses. They're hard for people. They're the thing they're the tool that we have to use to bring inflation down. And our job at this time, when high inflation comes, it is the Fed's job to restore price stability, and that's what we're doing. You point to the losses in banks. That was a very substantial thing, and obviously the supervisors, and that was us, didn't get to that problem. We were aware of it, but we didn't probably appreciate it enough. Another surprise, though, is that we were able to get this far and get inflation down this quickly without seeing a big increase in unemployment, and that's just a great result. That's just a surprise. It's not consistent with the historical record, but it's a really positive thing.
Thank you. And I would just note the only tools you had available were demand-side tools.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Senator Warner of Virginia is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, it's great to see you. I would point out to my good friend from South Dakota, I do think, if we'd gone back a year to 18 months ago, nobody would have predicted a soft landing. And I know you're not ready to declare victory by any means, but the fact that inflation has come down, and I actually think some of the things like the CHIPS bill, the infrastructure bill, and some of President Biden's policies have actually kept the economy growth rate at the levels that have allowed you to bring down inflation without seeing a dramatic rise in unemployment. And again, that'll be something we'll probably have the opportunity to litigate over the next 8 or 9 months. I want to take my time on issues around less about monetary policy and more about regulation. I think we can never presume that we're out of the woods on financial stability, as we saw with the New York Community Bank yesterday, the stock plunge and the capital infusion. One area that I raised with you a year ago, I want to re-raise today, and that is non-bank lending. The fact that non-bank lending in terms of to non-financial firms now is actually exceeding regulated bank lending. And let me be clear, I've got, the non-bank financial sector has done productive things in our society over the years. But when folks like former New York Fed President Dudley and former Fed Governor Grosvenor recently said that they had worries about this reliance on the non-bank financial sector could lead to overall economic lack of stability. I guess, what do you think? I've got a 3-part question. What do you think are the risks as we see this push-out effect of more and more lending going outside the regulated perimeter to the non-bank sector? How much do we really know about these institutions? And one of the things, they have very smart, sophisticated investors, but if those very smart, sophisticated investors said, well, hey, we don't like the lending profile right now, and we want you to not make any additional loans for the next 6 to 9 months, do you think our system would be able to pick up the slack?
So we have the regulated banking system where you've got a lot of transparency, you've got deposit insurance, you've got access to the discount window and all those things, regulation. If you go outside that, most of the funding that we see now in these vehicles is sophisticated investors who are actually limited partners, meaning they can't pull their money out. They've signed a contract, they've funded these deals. And so what you see now in the non-bank financial sector is significantly, it's that kind of thing. So it doesn't have the run risk. The point is, the bigger it grows and the more diverse it gets, it is happening outside the regulatory perimeter, and you worry that when there is another crisis, you'll be surprised, but there will be ways that financial structure too can break down, and it does break down in ways we don't anticipate. So I think we need to be smart about the way, about intermediation is absolutely moving out of the banks into the capital markets and into non-bank financial institutions. That's what's been happening for a long, long time. I just think we need to be thoughtful about understanding where the risks are emerging.
Right. And that sophisticated investor may rightfully say, hey, we don't want you to lend anymore for a X period of time, but that may then, at that moment of crisis, mean that the lending capabilities completely dry up. And one of the things I never completely understood until I got a little better explanation recently, why the large regulated banks weren't more complaining about this non-bank lending. But as I got to understand a little bit more of the, and again, I'm not per se criticizing on the non-bank lending, but many of the regulated banks actually lend to these large institutions, so they make, they make money off of those relationships, and maybe that's again an explanation of why they're not being more critical. I only got 40 seconds left, but I would like to come back to another thing that we've talked about a lot, and that is the question of use of the discount window. I believe one of the original tools that the Fed had. I know banks say, well, we're concerned about the stigma. I've got some legislation that would actually require mandatory use of the discount window. I'd love your comment on that. And also just the idea that having the mechanics of the discount window open, potentially even 24/7, because we saw with SVB, they didn't know how to use it, but two, if they wanted to use it in the non-bank hours, could they get access?
There's a lot of work to do on the discount window. You're absolutely right. It needs to be brought up technologically into the modern age. We need to do more to eliminate the stigma problem, and we need to make sure that banks are, actually able to use it when they need to use it. And those things. That's a broad work program that we're on right now, and it's very important.
I know you're working on it, but I would look forward to working more, and I'd invite other colleagues. I really do think before we start adding a whole host of the other regulatory issues, we ought to use some of the tools that are out there. You're not gone. So
God, I just checked in at the Veterans Committee. Senator Tillis, North Carolina. Thank you, Mark.
I was about to take control, Senator Warner. Welcome, Chair Powell, and Gus sends his regards. If you have time after the hearing, you ought to go by and see him. He's a dog in our office. But
I don't want to disturb his nap. But
but thank you for being here. I want to get back on this Basel III proposal. Senators Lummis, Coons, Gillibrand, and I sent a letter indicating our concerns with the current proposal. But I think it's also worth noting that the number of other organizations, a diverse group that are not normally aligned on policy. You got Bank Trades, National Housing Conference, NAACP, Habitat for Humanity, National Community Reinvestment Coalition, the list goes on, who have concerns with the current proposal. Here's my concern. I think we're trying to make the best of what was foundationally a bad proposal. And so I'm in the category of people who think that it should be reproposed, because I think one of the reasons why I did not support Mr. Barr's nomination is I felt like we were going to be here. I mean, it was pretty clear to me before he ever got confirmed on the board that we were going to be in this place some months or years later. And here we are. And I think that the industry felt the same way. All of these stakeholders, some of them are in banking trade, some of them are on the other side of the spectrum. So I'd like to cast my vote or provide some weight to the idea that we should repropose it. And what we ought to do is talk about the reality of increasing capital, or the prospect of increasing capital requirements doesn't concern me. I think the prior Fed supervisor had made comments publicly that maybe we needed to raise capital standards. But what we did hear in this proposal, and I heard in that dialogue, is let's deal with puts and takes. Let's talk about raising capital requirements, but let's also talk about reducing the cost of the regulatory burden today if we can do it responsibly. There's no evidence of that in the current proposal, and I think that may actually produce a different set of comments that would be instructive to a final proposal that I think realistically will include some increasing capital requirements. So over what time horizon do you think we would expect to either try to make the best of this foundation or go back and take a look at a new foundation and repropose it?
We're going to work through it as quickly as we can and should. I will say it's more important to get it right than it is to do it fast. We're not in a hurry. But my guess is we'll work this out over the course of this year.
Yeah. Well, if you take a look at the outsized cost of operational risk, the long list of concerns that I have publicly and privately expressed on the current proposal, I do think sometimes it's easier to knock down what I think is a poor foundation and build a better house. So again, just wanted to make that comment publicly. I got a question about shrinkflation. I tell you, some of these words that we come up with, but President Biden's using the idea of shrinkflation and chastising manufacturers for creating smaller portion sizes for potato chips. I'll use that as one example. But if you have rising input cost, and you're not able to control that, and you're in a marginal business to begin with, and now you're saying you can't even reduce the quantities. How does a business that's not making a profit make that work?
I mean, we see inflation at the aggregate level as a mismatch between supply and demand. Yeah. And as we've seen supply get better and we've seen demand cool off a bit, it was very hot coming out of the pandemic. We see inflation coming down.
We saw food inflation between 2010 and 2021 at 18% over 11 years. And over the last 3 years, we've seen it at 21%. I think that we have a industry that's trying to actually provide products that consumers want, and now they're being chastised for trying to figure out how to make the numbers work. So this whole idea of shrinkflation is just confounding to me. I'm going to submit some for the record. I want to stay on time. But I have a question. I think the chair mentioned, if I misunderstood this, I'm sure the chair will clarify, but I thought in his opening comments, he suggested that stock buybacks and paying out dividends were a key factor in inflation. Do you, as just a matter of policy, see stock buybacks and dividends as one of the top 5 reasons we're experiencing the inflation we have right now?
First, I guess I see stock buybacks and dividends as just the same thing in a different form. And I don't know, I wouldn't comment on anything the chair even may have said.
Yeah. Well,
I'd like to avoid that.
I don't think, I'm not going to ask you about policy because I think you're consistent on that, but I just can't imagine that if we decided to outlaw stock buybacks and dividend payments, that would have a material effect on inflation. So I'm not going to ask you to respond to that, but there are some people that by inference you could assume that they think that would be helpful. I just, for one, I'm not an economist, but I just can't imagine that it would be, one of the things that would make your job easier. Can you at least opine on that?
Banning stock buybacks and dividends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be quite a change in our capital markets.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, shareholders, this is just money going back to shareholders from companies that have nothing to do with it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well done, Senator Tilley. Senator Smith of Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Chair Powell. It's great to see you here again. I appreciate your testimony. And I'm going to focus my questions on housing and housing affordability. As you have well pointed out, overall prices have moderated considerably since the Fed began raising rates, yet housing costs have remained stubbornly resilient or high, leaving us really no closer to addressing the affordability crisis that I think that we have, and this was there well before the pandemic. Shortly before the Fed began tightening, Chair Powell, and you came before the committee, I asked you about how higher interest rates could exacerbate this unaffordability problem that we have by making mortgages more expensive and also hindering housing development. And I think that at the time you argued that we have a excess housing demand during the pandemic, and that was kind of at the root of higher costs, and that your goal, the Fed's goal, was to bring demand closer in line with supply. So my first question is this. So the housing market has cooled significantly over the last 2 years. Is it your view that it has cooled enough so that housing supply and demand is better in balance? And following on that, given the Fed's limited tools, understanding that, at what point will you think that you've done all that you can to lower housing demand? My view is that we're well past time in Congress to take action on the housing supply side, but I'm interested in how you see this dynamic.
So we're not focused so much on housing and housing inflation. We're really focused on the aggregate, which is also goods and non-housing services. That's way more than half of the PCE inflation. There are things in the housing sector that we didn't fully anticipate. One of them just was that people in very low interest rate homes with very low interest rate mortgages aren't selling.
Right.
So the quantity of homes that's available is incredibly low, and that's why it's very little in the way of existing home sales, and that drives up existing home sale prices, but also new home sale prices. So again, there's two sets of factors. There's the longer run issue, but then there's the factors associated with the pandemic and the inflation and our response to it. I think as the overall inflation continues to come down and rates then come down, you'll see the housing market start to heal and get better, and housing affordability should go up again. But you're still going to be left with the longer term problem of supply.
Right. I think that's right. I mean, what I see in Minnesota is that higher interest rates are, of course, driving up the cost of construction. They're driving up the cost of mortgage rates. You're seeing people who aren't leaving a house that maybe is a little too small for them because they can't afford it, that the housing, just as you're saying, people are staying in their homes longer. And so there's sort of this double whammy of construction slowing at the same time that there is this great need to address housing supply. One of the things that is happening, it's interesting, a recent analysis by Zillow found that the monthly mortgage payment let me get this right. A recent analysis by Zillow found that the monthly mortgage payment on a $343,000 home, assuming 10% down payment, is about $2,200 a month. Okay, so $2,200 a month. That means the cost of owning a typical home is higher than 30% of median income, which is kind of the measure of affordability. And so we've got a lot of issues with people just being priced out of the housing market. So from where I sit, the cumulative issues of higher mortgage rates are just really a challenge. And until we can get to the bottom of that, we're going to have a hard time addressing the housing affordability challenge that we have. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, I agree with all of that. I mean, home prices don't actually go into the calculation of inflation. It's really rents and owner's equivalent rent. But I agree, the housing market is in a very, very difficult situation. And, the sooner we can get back to price stability and restore interest rates to lower levels, the sooner it can start healing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Senator Kennedy of Louisiana is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for being here. Thank you for your services. I think I've said before, I believe you and your team probably saved the world economy during the pandemic economic meltdown when the whole world wanted dollars by establishing the currency swap line. So I thank you for that. You gave an interview, Mr. Chairman, on February 4th of this year to CBS, 60 Minutes, I think. Is that right?
Yep.
I ordered a transcript of that hearing, which I read. I learned a lot reading it. You were asked a question about inflation, and you asked a question about prices declining. And here was your response. I'd like to quote you, if it's okay. Quote, "So the prices of some things will decline, others will go up, but we don't expect to see a decline in the overall price level. That doesn't tend to happen in economies except in very negative circumstances." End quote. Did I quote you accurately?
I believe you did.
Okay. Later in the interview, you were asked about the national debt. Do you recall that?
I don't actually, but I'm sure that's right.
Okay. Well, at least according to the transcript, your answer was, and again, I'm quoting you, "In the long run, the United States is on an unsustainable fiscal path. The U.S. federal government's on an unsustainable fiscal path. And that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy. So it is unsustainable, end quote. Do you remember saying that?
I've said that many times. I think that's uncontroversial.
Okay. Later in the interview, you said, I want to quote, "You know, I would just say this, integrity is priceless. And at the end, that's all you have. And we plan on keeping ours," end quote. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That's why I want to ask you about the FDIC. Have you read the article in the Wall Street Journal entitled, quote, "Strip clubs, lewd photos, and a boozy hotel, the toxic atmosphere at bank regulator FDIC," end quote?
I think I did read that a couple months ago.
Did you read the article entitled, I quote again, "FDIC lawyer stayed on paid leave for weeks after child porn arrest," end quote?
I don't remember that one.
Okay, did you read the article entitled, also in the Wall Street Journal, quote, "FDIC chair, known for temper, ignored bad behavior in workplace," end quote?
Honestly, I don't. I read so much, I can't, I remember the broad story, but not particular stories.
Did you read the article in which a former female employee of the FDIC allegedly recalled her male colleagues saying women needed to use sex to get ahead at the FDIC?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. Did you read the article in which a female risk management examiner during a lunch with a male examiner said she had become friendly with that examiner, and he complained to her about his marriage, allegedly, telling her he wasn't getting enough sex, and she allegedly said, quote, "Obviously if I walked," or he allegedly said, "Obviously if I walked into this office and you were naked, I'd fuck you right here."
Whoa!
I do not remember that, and I think I would.
Okay. Do you remember the article about Mr. Randall Ditch, a supervisory examiner in Denver, who allegedly was demoted in 2014 to a non-supervisory examiner position in Tulsa after having sex twice with a subordinate female employee and a number of other rule violations? In this article, it says, allegedly, Mr. Ditch had urged the woman to not, quote, "be a pussy," close quote.
I'm about to mute this guy. Holy cow.
Do you recall that?
I do not recollect that. No.
Here's my question. I could go on for a while.
Could go on, but you're not going to go on, so you've passed your 5 minutes. Do your question once.
Sir?
Senator Kennedy, your time's already expired. You can do one. You did 5 minutes, consumed the whole 5 minutes with your monologue of...
Well, you did 6 minutes. I timed it.
I asked my...
You did 6 minutes.
Senator Kennedy, for months, I have let you go way over the 5 minutes. You get your question,
But you did 6 minutes.
I chair this committee.
I understand. You still did 6 minutes. Check the record.
I'm going to order, you're going to be at 6 minutes and 15 seconds if you continue this argument, or you're going to ask your question.
I'll ask my question. I just wanted the record to be clear, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in light of these allegations, if they're proven, how can the FDIC lead this charge for Basel Endgame 3, which is going to turn the banking community upside down?
I don't know how I would make the connection to Basel III. I'll say it's deeply troubling things, obviously, but again, as your point was, if proven, and I think we have to decide Basel III on its merits, and we're not looking to the FDIC to lead this, by the way. We're looking at the Fed to do what the Fed thinks is right. That's what we're going to do. We don't look to, and they don't look to us to lead.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Senator Butler is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Butler is recognized.
In this fucking
Thank you so much, Chair and Chair Powell. Good to see you in person, and thanks for the time to talk. I want to pick up a little bit where
Senator Smith was in relationship to housing.
I do want to apologize for all the lady viewers out there. This is not how these meetings usually go. Hopefully there's no more foul language on here. I do apologize, but what the actual hell just happened in this meeting? Wow.
Here, at least according to the California Department of Housing and Urban Development, renters in San Diego are paying about 50% of what is, they're spending more than 50% of what is considered affordable. And statewide, the majority of renters, more than 3 million households, are spending more than 30% towards rent. Nearly 1/3, more than 1 in 5 million households pay more than 50% of their income towards rent. And the Chicago Fed President Goolsbee even referred to housing as a missing piece of the puzzle in the Fed's path to lower inflation. So to the continued conversation, and I know a point that you've made that about how inflation has a disproportionate impact on lower income households who are focused on spending more of their monthly budgets on housing. How is the Fed's monetary policy impacting the supply of affordable rentals?
I don't know that we're affecting the supply of affordable housing. If you think of affordable housing as something that's connected to some sort of government program, that's not our bailiwick. I mean, clearly interest rates do affect the affordability of housing, though.
And there was a key point that you made in an earlier, I think, reference about and in your response to Senator Smith about the monetary policy and the calculation of rents. Can you just spend just briefly talk about that? I want to have one last issue I want to get to before I run out of time.
It's hard to talk about it briefly. It's actually very conceptually challenging to think about housing inflation. Do you include the costs of financing it? Do you include the sale prices? And the answer is we don't. We convert ownership into an imputed rent, and that's 2/3 of homes are owned. And then we actually measure rents, but leases only turn over once a year, so you look at market rents, and what's happening with newly signed leases may be very different from what was happening a year ago. So it's complicated, but the good thing is we understand all that, and we look through that. We look at housing services overall as one of the 3 important categories, along with non-housing services and goods inflation.
Thank you for that. In the line of affordability and housing, again, sort of very general, I think, to the broad monetary policy and state of our economy and unique to California. And I raised this with Secretary Yellen when she was here as well, the insurance gaps that are presenting themselves due to the impact of climate change. Where 1 in 5 residents in California live in areas that risk flooding, and all 58 counties have a history of flood damage. And we are seeing more and more insurance providers, home insurance providers, actually withdrawing from the state. You and I had talked a little bit about this in our preparation for today's conversation. Can you talk to me about or share with us how it is or what you think the impact might be of this sort of protection gap in insurance coverage on the overall stability of financial institutions in the broader economy?
So it is clear that insurance of various different kinds, housing insurance, but also automobile insurance and things like that, that's been a significant source of inflation over the last few years, and it's to do with a million different factors. It's nothing that we control from a regulatory or supervisory standpoint. In the longer term, companies are withdrawing from writing insurance in some coastal areas, and you got to think 10 years from now, how are you going to get housing insurance? And maybe the government will have to step in, but it's a significant issue.
Thank you, Chair Powell.
Thank you.
Senator is next. Yeah, Vance. Senator Vance of Ohio is recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and my gratitude to you and the ranking member for doing this hearing, and thank you, Chairman Powell, for being here. It's good to see you again. I think these hearings are always very important. Actually, give us an opportunity to sort of provide some oversight to what's going on at the Fed and better understand some of the things that you guys are doing that affect our constituents. Now, I wanted to sort of focus on the Basel III regulations, Chairman Powell, and specifically the way that they have, there have been various proposals to sort of draw them down to focus on the regional banks. And to just go back to sort of one of the most significant crises, obviously, in our banking sector, of course, the collapse of SVB and First Republic. You and I have spoken in private and I believe in public, but one of the concerns that I have is when we talk about increasing capital requirements on the banks, if the banks were under higher capital requirements in the run-up to the crisis, there's maybe an argument that SVB, for example, would have bought more long-term treasuries, which would, of course, would have exposed their balance sheet to even more treasury bond risk. And that, of course, would have maybe hastened the collapse of SVB. And I guess I want to start here with, when we talk about, some of the Basel regulations, what was the original intent? In other words, what was the original sort of proposal for which banks would fall under those regulations and which would escape them?
You mean this time around, or I mean earlier on?
This time around.
So it's the 37 largest banks. It's down to well, there's 4 categories of banks, including the G-SIBs, and this is down through the 4th category. The proposal that's out there now, I think, does extend to Category 4 as well as 3, 2, and 1.
So what's the minimum assets under management that you guys have proposed, the current
billion.
Basel regulations?
100 billion.
100 billion.
Yeah.
And sort of that sort of gets to my concern here, because I know there's some discussion about whether you apply them at $700 billion of AUM or $100 billion of AUM. And maybe you could just sort of walk me through that decision process at the Fed, where you guys are and what would sort of justify drawing down from a $700 billion threshold to a $100 billion threshold.
So there's the G-SIBs, there's the 8 identified G-SIBs, and then there's one category too, I guess, and then there are the big regionals, and those tend to be well-known big regional banks, and they're Category 3, and one of them's a 2, I guess, but they have a different tailored level of regulation. And then Category 4 had significant tailoring, and the question is, we have to ask the question, since SVB was a Category 4, we've got to ask the question, what, if anything, needs to be changed in the way they were regulated, supervised from a capital and liquidity standpoint. So there was tailoring all the way down, and then below 100, of course, those are community banks, and that's a different regime as well. This makes sense. We want to have a diverse banking sector. That's a great benefit to our country, and very unusual for an advanced economy. So it's something we want to preserve.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know, Chairman Powell, but just to put this on the record, I mean, a lot of the commercial lending, a lot of the real estate lending, a lot of the consumer lending, about half of that lending, consumer lending, is provided by the regional banks. I believe that Huntington, in my home state of Columbus, is the #1 SBA lender in the entire country. So these, to your point, I think these do provide incredibly important benefits to our economy. And you hear a lot of people talk about the American economic miracle, and I do wonder if part of that is because we don't have the same type of financial system that has sort of dominated in Western Europe and other first world economies. I'm curious, in the process of amending the Basel requirements, have you guys made a decision about where to set the threshold yet, and when do you expect to set?
All right, guys, I wanted to go over a few things with you really quick. Let's just go ahead and set this aside. I just want to talk to you about a few things here. So, yeah, we had a lot go on down there. This is a recorded video. Tomorrow is going to be at 10 a.m., the semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress. So we'll be also streaming that live as well. They're going to be going over a lot of things that are pretty similar to that, of course. So we just, I really cannot believe how crazy that got with that one speaker's testify. But I do want you guys to realize that was recorded. That was pretty crazy, but it's something that we also can look forward to hearing when it comes to the overall hearings that are coming out tomorrow as well. Here is the semi-annual monetary policy reports for Congress that's coming out July 9th, 2024 at 10 a.m. So we'll actually have it up for the United States State and Bank Committee right here, right in front of us tomorrow at 10. So we'll be hearing it first here on this channel. So, but I do want to go over a few things that we have going on, what trades I am in. So we took AMSC, this was last week at some point in time, and we took the trade at 25.50, actually 25.45. We're up about $357 on this trade. We also have Kava. We're up $550. We're up $552 in Kava. So that trade in Kava is looking really, really good. Actually, 577 in total in Kava. I'm just holding on to this for a little while. We're up a little over 2R in this. I'm going to wait till 4R before I start taking some money out. Maybe I should we'll take out a little piece of this and bring that stop up. So I'm going to take a quarter out here, guys. We're going to sell right here. We'll take a quarter out, and then I'll bring that stop loss up to break even, because this is the breakout right here. This is a beautiful breakout. Let me just put this in the Discord. All right, and I'm going to move my stop loss up to that break even now. I feel like I should sell a little bit more, but I want to hold on for the bigger move. So we're just going to bring that stop loss to break even now, so that way we can't lose any money on this trade, okay? So the stop loss is at break even. AMSC, again, I'm just kind of waiting here for the bigger move. I'm not even at 1R yet on that. So Kava's looking good. We like this breakout. We're up about $600 on that trade. CORZ, we ended up taking this. I didn't like the low of day stop on CORZ. So CORZ, we're just going to go ahead and let this thing play out. I'm using the breakout area as the stop. Sure, this thing might come down and stop me out at that breakout area, but it's only, literally, I'm risking $9. So I'm already up 3R on this trade. I got in this and then realized my low of day stop is higher than the average daily range, because that's 14% from where I took it. The average daily range is only 10% on this. So I'm expecting this to stop me out today and then have a better opportunity in the near future to take CORZ. I did take GME. I'm only risking $100 on this trade. It's still within that stop. The reason why I took it is I seen the volume come up and I seen it break this trend that I've created on the daily time frame. I could be wildly wrong on this trade. It's a very speculative trade, and I've taken very minimal risk. I've only taken 1/4 of my share size. Okay, so we also are still holding NNE. I know a lot of you are holding NNE. If you haven't taken profits already, that's A-okay. You're in your own trade. I haven't taken any profits. I'm willing to accept $186 stop loss on this, which is about 2/3 of my 1% risk that I allow myself to take. I'm also holding NNE, which we're up about $516 on. So grand total so far today, we're up about $1,500, which is a really good sign. It's always nice when you're up, but I always want to keep in mind when I tell people the amount that I am up, even though it is $1,500, we need to understand, guys, that I could be down that same amount within minutes. The market could head much lower. We're right up here at that VWAP area. So we're going to see what exactly happens here at this VWAP area. Maybe we trade sideways from here. Maybe we come back down and retest this 10-day moving average. Regardless of what happens, I do like the trades that I'm in and the money that I've made so far, and some of the positions that I have exited so far. So I also need to mark this to mark where I have taken some of my profits. But anyway, we have been live now for quite some time, and if you guys would do me a huge favor, look at the screen really quick. Look at the screen. We want you to make sure that you're live. You don't have to click live anymore because we're done watching the Fed Powell. We also have 25 votes. We're going to go ahead and end this very, very soon, so make sure that you vote on this. The question is, will the SPY end above Friday's closing? It's very important to understand that the closing was at 554.70. So if you vote yes, 76% of you say yes. 4% say no, you're going to close below 554.70. And 20% of you were just here for the Fed speech, which that's A-okay. We We have streamed that. It was a great speech. It was recorded, though, so we need to understand we are listening to it a little bit behind than what it actually was. Tomorrow is going to be the semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress, so that should get some beautiful, beautiful streams. We should get plenty of people in there for that as well. I see we got 19 of you in here. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, guys. We do this on the daily, baby. I bring you live commentary, live trading. I bring you a live... Here, let me just show you guys. Let me flex. Let me just flex a little bit here. Right here is our daily watch list. Look at my screen, guys. This is our daily watch list, guys. And the beautiful thing about this daily watch list is you can see right here, I called out NNE above 28.5 level on volume, but it gapped up in the pre-market. So we took a small share in the pre-market. And look, we called out Carvana. It did not break above 530 on volume, so we stayed away. We called out USM, but here's the great thing. We called out Kava right here. I said participants will show up after a bigger break on 96 happens with volume. Here's Kava, here's 96, and look, it breaks out above it. If you use the low of the day as your stop, you are up a wild amount of money. You're welcome. You can thank me later. Instead of thanking me, why not just hit the like, hit that subscribe button. That's the only thing I ever ask of you guys. And of course, if you want to join our Discord, you absolutely can. It's absolutely free. I am no guru. I am a simple trader trying to help other traders. Right here is that link tree. Let me show you how we do it. We go ahead and we click this link tree right here. It's going to bring up the link tree. You've got my YouTube right here, the Discord, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook, the Twitter. And I tell you what, guys, you know what's crazy about this TikTok? This TikTok has been taking off. We've been getting, look at this, over 6,000 views, 800 views on these on just all these playlists. I'm trying to be a YouTuber, not a TikTok, but it looks like TikTok's starting to take off. But there's plenty of stuff on there as well. So just make sure that you guys are keeping a very close eye on all of that. And join, support your boy. Everything's absolutely free. We appreciate you being here. And we will be here tomorrow. And there's Kava. There's Kava taking off right now. Why is that still up? That's weird. There we go. Just hide that. That Kava, guys. Kava is taking off. It's looking really, really good. Love to see Kava. And we're always upgrading. We're always doing better on this. And we're going to go ahead and end the vote here, guys. Let's end this vote. So it looks like 73% of you say we're going to end higher. Let's take a look at where the market is right now before I take off here, guys, at 553.36. We're going to see if we want to have continuation in the overall market to see if the group is correct with 26 votes. 73% say yes, we'll be above 554. Only 7% say no, and 19 said that you were here for the speech. Again, the speech was recorded speech, but that's A-okay. It's always, we had a lot of entertainment out of it, but we'll see what happens tomorrow with the speech coming up. Again, I have it up and it's ready for us at 10 a.m. I will be here probably roughly around 9 o'clock to do this one more again for you. Okay, guys, so keep that in mind so that way we can keep an eye on what is going on. I'm actually really surprised that it was recorded today, an older recording, but that's A-okay. They talked about the Basel. We're learning more about Basel III and the regulations that are behind it, and we're learning a little bit more about what old Papa Powell wants to hear with that data. So hopefully tomorrow, let's see, the market would like an exit minute today. Is that what yeah, Jolene, I got you. Would like an exit minute today. But yeah, the SPY is just running right up into that 555 area. We're going to see if it wants to hold out. Of course, we are a little extended from that 10-day moving average, so we'll see what happens. But I would say overall, amazing trading day for me, guys. I'm up $1,500. Very, very happy. And of course, don't ever take me as bragging. This is not bragging. I could lose it all today. I could make twice the amount today. It's not bragging. This is a process, and I'm here to teach you my process, okay? If you're here just for the trade alerts, well, we do have the daily trading watch list that I have brought up to you guys many, many times before. And why do we do this trading watch list? Because I want to give you guys at least something to focus on, okay? And right here was Kava. We also have MIRM. We have Dell, WGS. Take a look and see how the watch list did. And always remember to quote me on these too. If we look at MIRM, and we can see MIRM broke out. What did I call? 34.5. Okay, so 34.5 is right here, guys. I called this 34.5 out. Why did I not take this trade? Because there was no volume at this open. You could have taken it here at 35. That would have been nice, but I called out 34.5. I did not enter this trade simply because the market wasn't showing volume into this trade, so I did not get into it. But if you wanted to take it, you could see you would be up a wild amount of money. Of course, Dell, we talked about Dell. I didn't reset my alert, so I'm afraid to look at Dell. And it looks like Dell is starting to pop off. I told you guys, we are not seeing, I wanted to see this break through this. It broke back down, and now look, it's breaking back up. So this is a good sign for Dell. I don't want to be too late to the party. Let's see where Dell actually sits on this area, making a new high here for the day. At 144.67, the low is 139.21 for the day. That gives us a range of 5.46, so it's a little further than the average daily range percentage of what it is. So keep that in mind, guys, when you're taking trades. I can't take this, but tomorrow it might be nice for an open range breakout. So we'll see what happens. So one last time, let's just run through it. AMSC looking really good here. Kava, look at this, all-time new highs for Kava. This is looking absolutely splendiferous. Hopefully this thing just keeps on ripping to the north side. CORZ, we can see we're up about $23 on. Kava, we're up, let's see, for the day, $667 on. GME, we're down $31 on. That actually is not looking too good, actually. Pulling back. I want to see a bigger, faster breakout. I'm going to move my stop loss up to just under VWAP. I'm not going to take a big loss on GME. I expected this thing to continue higher and start to ripping. We're not seeing too much volume. We'll really get to moving on that. It was a $100 stop loss down here, but I expected this thing to really get to ramping up right here, and it's not. So I'm not willing to take a big loss on GME. So we're going to see what happens with that. NNE, of course, it's just trading sideways. We'd like to see it above this $30 area, okay? My stop loss is $28.50, but we want to see it above that $30 area. If it stays above that $30 area, we'll have a lot more confidence in NNE. If it breaks down below that, I'm not going to care for it so much. NVDA, we can see it bounced right back up and now is trading just below its VWAP area. We're going to see if it wants to have some continuation, if it wants to trade sideways for the day. Either way, it's going to look healthy for NVIDIA. I like to see this bounce off the 21-day moving average and it push up higher. Of course, we took this on a trend break. I can show you a little cleaner on the hourly here. Beautiful trend break on the hourly. We accepted the price, used the risk of the low, took out some of our shares at 125, and then we are using the last piece as a stop loss at that break-even area, so we cannot lose any money on this trade. So again, guys, we're up about $1,500 on the day. I'll post my profits at the end of the day, though, because we all know things can change overnight. So one last time, I'll post the LinkedIn right there for you guys. You're more than welcome to join the Discord and TikTok and all that good stuff. But anyway, I just want to say thank you. And of course, I won't leave right away. I'm going to go ahead and do the Rip Rip Tater Chip sign, and I will usher you guys all out. Thank you guys so much for joining up. Tomorrow, we will be doing the same live, same time. I'll probably start roughly around 9 o'clock, and we will listen to old Fed Chair Powell's speech once again. It won't be the same speech, obviously, because this last one was a pre-recorded speech. So we'll listen to a brand new speech, and it will be live, coming straight from the house itself. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And if you made it till the end, you're the real ones. Thank you. All right, guys. That was a good show. Robert, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry about the recorded Fed speech, guys, but it's better to get our wet our whistles on that. Thank you, Jolene. I had fun. Sorry about the profanity from the old guys arguing. That was crazy. That was crazy. I hope I don't get in trouble with YouTube, to be honest. From some 80-year-old man cursing, bringing up a bunch of horrible stuff. I do not condone to any of that. I do not condone. Yes, sir. Good seeing you guys. Good seeing you guys. Kevo. Coffee right back at you, brother. Sending some love your way. It's good seeing you. Thank you guys so much for joining up. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, guys. I'll probably be on a little earlier than 9. Depends on how I feel. We'll see. We'll see how we feel. We got to get the coffee rolling. Keep the coffee going. But thank you guys so much for joining up. Thank you for watching the speech with me. Crazy. A part of me wants to like do a YouTube short on that, you know, of the old guys arguing. Like, come on, guys, get along, you know. Yosef, good to see you in here, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. Did you work government for years? 24 years? Oh, my gosh. You know all the simple nuances behind it then. It's awesome having you guys. Alrighty. All right. Well, if that's everybody that's live with me right now, I appreciate you guys. Predator, if you're not live, I want to say thank you very much. Muley, if you're watching this at a later time, thank you so much. B. Stewie, thank you guys so much for joining me. Who else we got? Dan, Bob, Dan, the greatest moderator alive. Thank you so much. Swervo, thank you so much for being with me. Praneeth, I'm so happy that you could find us. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael Anthony, if you're still with us, thank you so much. I hope you have an awesome day. Danny, of course, my friend and one that I consider a mentor. Thank you so much for joining us. Kevo, Yosef, Bob, Robert, thank you guys so much. Make sure I didn't miss anybody here. I think that's everybody in the comment section. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys on tomorrow. It was a great show. You guys have an awesome one. Peace.